Yeah. Alright. Yeah. Yo.
Yeah, you see?
Judge protect me from,
Yeah, you see me?
which channel listener? Input one.
She is the thing. She is the
Everything.
output from the Android side.
Fellow
Hold on
corporates,
then.
if you'll allow us just 5 more minutes, we will start. We have a slight issue. Just start in about 5 minutes.
Come here then. You did an input one though.
Yeah.
I'm not supposed to. Yeah man, we're getting the tape to rectify.
So if this set right, you're not supposed to get a sound.
Yeah, but this alright. Because everything else is there online. And this is for one. Hold on there. Input one. Input two on. Input two on. You still get all from me?
Input one, it's
You
going
still hear me?
It's
Still hear me?
One.
You hear me now? Still hear me? John, no. Still hear me? See me?
I hear.
Still hear me? Still here?
cooperative societies and friendly societies, having received the financial statements of the society for the year ended December 15, 2015, has given his authority for the annual general meeting of EduCom to be held. This authority is to be found on page 58 of the annual report, and it is dated April 15, 2016. So you will come with me to page 58 of the annual report, and I'll read the authority to convene. And it reads thus: the Secretary, EduCom Cooperative Credit Union Limited, 10 Oxford Terrace, Kingston 5. Dear Sir, Madam, I forward herewith the financial statements of your society for the year ended December 31, 2015. You must now hold the annual general meeting convened under Regulation 19 of the Cooperative Societies Regulations 1950. At least 7 days' notice shall be given before the meeting is held. A copy of your report, which you intend to present to the annual general meeting on the year's working of the society as set forth in Regulations 35 of the Cooperative Societies Regulations, should be forwarded to this office. Kindly advise me of the date of the annual general meeting so that arrangements may be made for the department to be represented. Yours sincerely, Laverne Gibson Eccleston, for Registrar of Cooperative Societies and Friendly Societies. The notice of the annual general meeting is to be found on page 1 of the annual report. So I now invite you to turn to page 1 of the report. In the meanwhile, first of all, let me apologize for the fact that the time of the meeting was inadvertently omitted from the notice in the annual report. This is to be inserted at the end of the first sentence. We regret the error. With that insertion, I will now read the notice. Notice of meeting. Members of EduCom Cooperative Credit Union Limited are hereby notified that the first annual general meeting of EduCom will be held on Saturday, the 30th of April, 2016 at the Kenneth Rattray Conference Room, the Jamaica Conference Center at 10 a.m. Individuals can view the annual general meeting via a live link on our website at www.educomcooperativeCreditUnion.com. Carol White. But we won't add Shiva as a person again, register. Monica Tim. Monica Tim. Thank you, Godfrey. Over here. And then we go up top. Basil Jones.
And Arnell McDonald.
And Arnell McDonald. Did I see a hand at the top?
Keisha Gale Ray, W-R-A-Y, and Joan Newell.
I think we've got that. Keisha
Gale.
Gale Ray. And
Keisha Gale, hyphenated.
Keisha Gale Ray. And
Joan Newell.
Joan Newell. We've got that one. Over here.
Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson. Thank you very much. Rima, yes.
Sarah Wilkinson Isis.
Sarah Wilkinson Eichel. Sarah Wilkinson Eichel. Any other apology? Yes, over here. Sharon Gordon Dell. Dil Nassau. And Dolores Harris. Could you spell Dil Nassau for us? D-I-L-N-A-S-S. Dil Nassau. Okay. And one more from the podium. Oh, and I now must tender an apology on behalf of our fellow director, Noel Morgan, who is also an adult. Mr. Brightson?
Ask them to use the mic.
Right, I'm not sure if the microphones and if they're working, then you can always use the microphone on here. Thank you very much for those apologies, and they have been duly noted. Fellow cooperatives, ladies and gentlemen, during the year we have regrettably lost some valued members of EduCom. The names of those loved ones who have passed are to be found on page 131 of your annual report. So I'd invite you to turn to page 131. I am going to read the names of those listed here, and if there are persons here who know of any other member who may have passed for which we did not receive information, I'd like for you to state the names of those persons so we can pay them our respect and note it for the minutes. Phyllis Lindo, Vilma M. Rose, Delfrida Allen, Wilton Edwards, Simone Morley, and Floyd Buckley. If you know of anyone who also passed during the year, I'd like for you now to indicate, just raise your hand, tell us who that person is, so that we can pay that person or those persons for respect. Yes.
Good morning. My name is Arlene Brown Gregory. My husband, who was a member in cast in February, his name was Ronald Gregory.
Ronald Gregory.
Yes.
We sincerely extend our sympathies to you, Mrs. Gregory.
Good morning. Paul Dixon passed in December.
Paul Dixon passed in December.
My name is Janet Barner Oakley.
Thank you, Mrs. Oakley.
Lorna Brown passed in November.
Lorna Brown passed. Warner passed in December. What's your name, please?
I'm Valerie Abraham.
Thank you, Valerie Abrahams. And so, this is always a touching and sad time for us, because these were persons who were with us at the last annual general meeting, and they're no longer with us. So on behalf of the Board of Directors and all our volunteers, management and staff, let me extend, and in fact the entire EduCom family, including all those of you who are present here today, let me extend our deepest sympathies to the relatives and friends of those who have passed during the course of the year. We pray that God will continue to strengthen the relatives and friends at this time of grief, and to encourage you to provide whatever support you can to these persons as they continue to grieve. And at this point, I'd like for you to stand as we observe a moment of silence for those who have departed. Please stand. May their souls rest in peace and light perpetual shine on them. Thank you very much. And at this time, it is my pleasure to hand over to our president, by Widow Nesta. Thank you, sir.
Fellow corporators, first a little notice. Note that the microphones before you are actually not working. So those of you who want to ask a question or making a contribution at some point in the meeting, please, there are standing mics in the passage. Please feel free to use them. Mr. Derek Tullow, President of JAPUL, I understand you are here in the House. Mr. Ken Wilson and Ms. Jennifer Hibbert of BDO, former members of the board and volunteers of AAMM or UWI Cooperative Credit Union. And I see that just now I noticed that past President Lennox Dean is in the house. Past Director Michael Bryson, Pat Rewall, and Godfrey Taylor, all past directors of AAMM. I'm not very acquainted with the past directors of UWI and Mona, so if you are here, can you just wave your hands that I can recognize you? Nobody? Okay. Members of the Supervisory Committee of EduCom, members also of the Credit Committee, Mr. Elvis King, and members of the management team and staff of EduCom, my fellow directors, fellow corporators, specially invited guests, permit me to extend a very warm welcome to you all on this occasion of the first annual general meeting of the Educators and Community Cooperative Credit Union, EduCom. Indeed, it is a great joy and a profound sense of pride in the achievement of this new credit union that I greet you this morning on behalf of my fellow directors, the Supervisory Committee, the Credit Committee, and the management and staff of EduCom. In the credit union movement, our annual general meetings are always one of the highlights of the year's activity, as the annual general meeting provides you the opportunity to elect directors and other volunteers to serve you in the ensuing year. It provides a forum for your elected representative and the members of the management team to report to you on their stewardship of the previous year and for you to hear the plans they have developed for the organization for the coming year. It also provides a platform for you to give us valuable feedback on the suite of products and services that we provide for you and what we can do to enhance them. The AGM also provides the leaders of your credit union with the opportunity to express to you our profound thanks for your support, for your patience, and above all, for the loyalty that you have demonstrated to this credit union over the years. And finally, the AGM affords us the opportunity to mix and mingle with each other for a while, and for us to share what I think is going to be a sumptuous meal together. Fellow corporators, 2015 was for us an extraordinary year because we managed to bring together two exceptional institutions in the form of AAMM and UII Mona cooperative credit unions, both with unique characteristics and culture, to create EduCom Cooperative Credit Union. And although EduCom, which began operation in April 1st, 2015, is only 1 year old this month, the merger actually brought together two credit unions with over 120 years of experience in successfully serving the needs of their members. This experience has served us well, as it has provided a platform upon which we are building and upon which we will continue to build in the future. This platform is rooted in the strength and history and achievements of the two original institutions, and has enabled us to understand the needs of your members, to create the products and services to satisfy these needs, and to provide the quality service to deliver those products, and to create the environment in which we can add value to your lives. Ladies and gentlemen, the credit union movement is truly an international one, operating in all but a few countries in the world, and is based on the principle of people helping people. And people helping people. It thrives on the idea that through mutual cooperation, people and institutions will succeed, and that we are indeed our brother's keeper. These are some of the pillars and the philosophy upon which EduCom has been established, and which we will always use in guiding our relationship with you, our members. From the number of persons present here this morning, it is obvious that you care not only for your own financial welfare and future, but also for the welfare and future of EduCom. And for that, fellow corporators, I commend you. This morning, as we seek to account for our stewardship over the credit union in 2015, you will hear the report of the board of directors as we speak to you about the year in review and give some indications of our strategic directions and plans for 2016. You will hear a presentation from the treasurer in which he will give an account of the utilization of our resources and of the financial health of the credit union for the year under review. The chairman of the supervisory committee will report to you on governance matters and our efforts at ensuring that we are a transparent organization operated with the highest level of integrity and accountability. The credit committee will provide you with a summary of our loan portfolio and update you on the results of their decisions over the year. And finally, the nominations committee will provide their report and give you the opportunity to elect the volunteers who will lead this credit union in the 2016-2017 year. Of course, like any new institutions, EduCom has had its challenge in 2015. And while 2015 was for us a year characterized by many significant achievements, we will not seek to tell you that it was a perfect year. In fact, many of you would have been impacted negatively by some of the glitches and hiccups that we encountered during this transition year. We sincerely apologize for any inconvenience suffered, but I will hasten to tell you that as a result of these particular glitches, 2015 was for us the year in which we learned the most about ourselves and about the credit union. And we have worked tirelessly with this information to overcome the challenges that we encountered in the process. I want to thank you, our members, for your patience and the loyalty you gave to your credit union during these critical moments of challenge. This was particularly evident in the early months of our formation, when the team worked assiduously to get things right. You stood by us, and you showed that you believed in us. And for that, we are truly, truly grateful. Because of this, today, we are a stronger and more knowledgeable credit union, poised and strategically positioned to serve you even better in the years to come. During the year, we have seen the emergence of a new and dynamic organization with trained, experienced, and motivated staff, led by a team of volunteers with a strong sense of commitment and the vision to make EduCom the #1 credit union in adding value to the members' lives. Throughout the years, these individuals have been exemplary in providing service above self. You will therefore permit me to recognize and say a very special thanks to the teams with which I had the pleasure to work over the last 12 months. First, you'll allow me to say thanks to Mr. Elvis King, the CEO, and the members of the management and staff. I salute you, Mr. King, and the staff, for your energy, for your sacrifice, for your commitment. I know that 2015 wasn't an easy year for any of you, but thankfully, through your hard work, your commitment and sacrifice, you eventually brought us through. To the members of the Supervisory Committee, I salute you for your diligence and your singularity of purpose. Thanks to the members of the Credit Committee for the care and consideration you took to your task of reviewing and dispensing loans. And to my fellow directors, I would like to use this occasion to let you know that it could not have happened without your solid individual and collective contribution. You are men and women of integrity and purpose, and I thank you for your hard work, your sacrifice, for the intellect you brought to the process, for the time you spent, and of course, for putting up with me. Over the year, you have become much more than colleagues to me. You have all become my friends. EduCom is a proud part of the Jamaica Credit Union movement, and this movement is led by and governed by the Jamaica Cooperative Credit Union League, the Department of Cooperative and Friendly Societies, and soon the Bank of Jamaica. You will of course know that the BOJ will soon be playing a more active role in our operation as they become the regulators for the credit union movement. Of course, we have been saying this for the last 17 years, but it is projected to happen anytime now. This morning, we are happy to have with us representatives from the Cooperative Society in Mr. Webb and Mr. Clark. Gentlemen, welcome. From the league, again, I understand that he's here, but I still haven't seen Derek Tulloh, president of the Jackal. Derek, not here, okay. And of course, there should be representatives from sister credit unions with us here. Anybody? Anybody? Yes? Okay, one. Okay. To all of you, I express welcome to this morning's meeting, and I ask my fellow EduCom members to extend the warmest welcome to these people. They said Ray Howell, but because I know Ray Howell is a member. He's not here as a member from TIP or anything like that. He's here as a member. But Ray, welcome. Good to have you. Fellow cooperators, I have embraced the role of president of EduCom with a strong sense of responsibility and humility, knowing that you have entrusted my fellow directors and I with the task of preserving more than a century of cooperative traditions that were laid down by our founding fathers. Our founding fathers were men and women of vision whose hard work and unselfish giving is firmly entrenched in the culture and foundation of EduCom. Little did they know that the small gesture with which they started their respective credit union would one day blossom to become the 5th largest credit union in Jamaica, with assets of $5.6 billion and a membership of over 25,000 persons. Ladies and gentlemen, fellow cooperators, I think you will agree that our founders would have been justly proud of us for these achievements. We therefore use this opportunity to salute our founding fathers and to thank our Heavenly Father for giving us the ability to honor their efforts, to remember, to respect their memories, and to follow in their footsteps. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for taking the time to join us here this morning. I thank you for continuing to support your credit union. I look forward to continue to work with you. I wish for you an interesting and informative and indeed an enjoyable first annual general meeting of EduCom Cooperative Credit Union. I thank you. Our next item is a presentation from the League, and I invite Mr. Henry, Mr. Lawrence, to take this presentation. Thank you, sir.
Morning, fellow cooperators. My name is Owen Lawrence, not Henry Lawrence. Protocols observed. As representative of the League, I hereby bring you greetings from Jackal. And Jackal wishes to congratulate you despite the challenges that you have noted, that your performance that we have noted in this booklet is nothing short of brilliant, and I think you should all applaud yourself. Second there, please. Okay, we're ready again. I'm here to present to you our credit union educational program this morning, where we look at the BOJ regs, some mergers, and the way we're looking forward, right? This morning, the presentation, I will take you from a historical perspective right down to the message that's coming from the movement through to our cooperators and all the memberships of the various credit unions. Historically, our credit unions in the 70s and 80s moved from 132 to 86 credit unions. By the 1990s, 2000, we moved from 86 to 65. Today, we are at 34. All these collaborations and bringing together have only made our movement stronger. In the 1990s, while we were having the financial debacle, the credit union saw growth in our savings and loans as people were looking places to put their money, right? The BOJ, in light of what was happening in the 90s and globally, decided to bring the entire financial deposit-taking institutions under one regulator. And so in 1999, the league began discussions with the credit union, with the BOJ. From all the discussions, there were mainly 5 sticking points, of which 3 are really just relevant to you, which is the unsecured credit, unclaimed monies, which we call dormant accounts, or cash reserve requirements. The negotiations have basically come to a conclusion. In 2012, we met with the then Minister of Finance, and by 2014, we had met with the BOJ to finalize the definition of unsecured credit. As earlier saw, it was one of the outstanding issues. And they had insisted that we only have 10% unsecured credit. That's the lifeblood of our credit union. But eventually, they have succumbed, and we are now able to offer unlimited unsecured credit to you, our membership. The unclaimed monies is what we normally call the nomination card that you write up at the death of our member that is passed on to whichever beneficiary they so choose. The government wanted to take that, but through the deliberations, again, they succumbed and allowed us, because they view our nomination cards as wills, so whoever you put as your beneficiary will stay as is. And the cash reserve requirement, initially they had said no, but then the BOJ Act of 2015 insisted that all deposit institutions must have cash reserve requirements, so we are now required to have it with the BOJ. The benefits that you're likely to get from the regulations and the coming on the BOJ regulating us will that we'll have an improved image in the sense that we will be regulated in a formal structure, right? We will have stronger credit unions, no doubt, right? We definitely will have better documented systems and processes coming from the standards and the requirements that we have to meet, right? And more so, more than all, that we have always wanted is the ability for the BOJ to authorize us to have foreign exchange accounts. We know we'll have that once the BOJ has started to regulate us. And without a shadow of a doubt, we will have an improved governance structure in that every single one of your directors that will be here, all will have to be fit and proper to sit at the top of your institution. What everybody should know and what we must tell you all is that the BOJ regulations is not just a desire of the BOJ to take over credit unions. It's a global phenomenon where regulation, all these deposit-taking institutions are coming under regulations. Canada, Africa, everywhere you look. US is a little different, that they are regulated, but the NCUA is what regulates them. The current challenges that are facing us here in the movements and all credit unions is that, one, the regulation requirements. They are harsh, they are heavy. The economic pressures, low interest rate, heightened competition from our fellow members, from the loan sharks and the banks, right? Profitability challenges, some of us are suffering liquidity problems, definitely. The need for technological innovations. We have to change our systems so that we are able to fit the requirements of the changing needs of our members. right? I'm very sure some of you know when you go to Flow, you no longer join a line. You simply go to a kiosk and you deposit your payments in a machine, get a receipt, and you're gone. We need to get there. All credit unions will benefit from merger, just as in the case as EduCom has seen the coming together of UWI and AAMM. And the benefits that the credit union has seen, and I'm sure that your directors will tell you more about them today, is that the improved financial positions. I mean, you're going to clap your hands off when they talk to you today, right? Expanded and improved services. I'm sure that you all will be getting offerings some of you never had before. Credit unions out there, banks out there are wishing for. All right? The expanded membership. Because you came together, your membership have grown. And because you have grown, assets grow. They'll be telling you about it. I won't go down in it, all right? I just read it. But they know it, all right? And the succession plan. Succession plan is that these larger credit unions, they definitely attract brighter people. And I can tell you, I come in here today, I met somebody who I knew from another institution who I thought was very talented, and I'm like, wow, he made the switch, right? So he's at your credit union, right? The members, you yourselves will benefit. You have more improved products, as I said, more locations to do your transactions. Your technology is going to become even better, more so with those phones that you have in your hands, and you all got phones, right? There will be more funds for you to get loans. The cost of things are going to be lower. You won't get those exorbitant and killing fees that NCB, did I say that? That the banks charge us, all right? And definitely you'll be getting better loan rates and dividend rates here at EduCom, all right? I'm very sure that there's no way I could tell you about the benefits without you saying to me, okay, so what if we have all those benefits, why do we need to merge? Credit unions in this dispensation are and will be looking to merge simply because the compliance of the new regulations, the decline in earnings, the decline in membership, the need to expand product offerings, staggering and lacking new business, and the need for new and fresh capital, right? Some of them are in danger of failing. The need for new management, technological improvements, and brothers and sisters, I could go on and on and on, right? But a lot of them need to take the cue from EduCom, because EduCom came together, AM, UWI, shared vision. Guess what? You have merged and you have created a bridge that has brought, and you'll hear about it today, a brighter future, right? And EduCom epitomizes what the movement is looking at, where the mergers and the shared services from back office will bring greater strength to the credit union. EduCom epitomizes all of that. And EduCom was able to do it because we're not going to say you're donkeys, yeah? If you look at the donkeys here, pulling and the tagging, but once AAMM and UE got together and decided, hey, prosperity came, right? Okay. So, EduCom's responsibility going forward is that EduCom is going to educate the members, right, about all that's happening, right? They'll be managing their media responses. You will hear any glitches out there, and they will allow your fears of anything or anything fearful you have about the regulations that are coming, okay? They will definitely be ramping up their public images and increasing their marketing activities. Boy, I know they've been at it, and they'll be doing much more, right? From our side at the league, we'll be managing the internal educations of staff and volunteers externally, we'll be doing the media, and we'll be coming to the AGMs and speaking to the people like I speak to you here today. All right? And so, before I go, I leave you with a message coming out of the movements to all credit unions, more so from EduCom, is that EduCom is committed to serving you. And they'll ensure that everything you need, everything you want, you come to them, and they will serve you. Thank you, cooperators. Thank you very much.
Fellow corporators, let me confess something. I didn't pay Mr. Lawrence for that, and I didn't write his speech. But I couldn't have expected him to say anything better. And you know, one of the things that you must note that he said is that EduCom epitomizes everything. You said that, right? EduCom epitomizes everything. And we believe that. He has mentioned some of the things that we needed, that we know that we needed to speak to you about this morning, and that we will be speaking to you about this morning. Because one of the significant change that is coming in the future is the presence and the impact of the Bank of Jamaica on our activities. And we need to speak about that. Before I give the report on behalf of the board, let me join and extend welcome to my friend and colleague, Ms. Ione Henry from JCIA and from the Fishermen's Cooperative Credit Union, the Fishermen's Co-op. And I understand that Mr. Oswald Parks from Kuna Mutual is with us. Mr. Parks? No? Okay. He's outside? Okay, thanks. So it is my pleasure this morning to present to you the report of the Board of Directors for the first annual general meeting of EduCom Cooperative Credit Union for the year ending December 30th, 2015. First, I give you the economic environment in which we operated in 2015. So inflation closed at 3.7% for the year, the lowest in more than a decade, as we have heard in the past. This is in comparison to that previously achieved in the previous year of 6.4% and a global insurance rate of 3.92%. That is inflation. GDP growth was 0.8%, which compared to the previous year's 0.5%. Unemployment, unfortunately, went up to 14.2%, which compares to 13.2% for the previous year. The Jamaican dollar depreciated by 13.9% against the US dollar and closed at 120.42 to the US dollar. We have captured the economic variables here in the graph, which shows in 2014, the GDP movement from 2014 to 2015, the inflation movement from 6.4% to 3.7%, and the unemployment figure. On the international front, in the past few years, the global economy has witnessed slower than expected growth in all but a few economies. And we can recall that 2008, 2009 were extremely dismal year for the international economy. It was said that about 30% of the international economy, that is mainly of the credit, was wiped out in that period. And so the global economy is still slowly recovering. This is unlikely to change significantly over the next 12 to 24 months. The projection is for a very modest improvement in the growth rate for the global economy
to 2.8% in 2016, up from the 2.5% achieved in 2015. Legislation. It is anticipated that the Bank of Jamaica's regulation will be passed, and this legislation will allow the Bank of Jamaica to oversee cooperatives. We anticipate that this legislation will be passed in this year, 2016, or indeed no later than 2017. And as I said, this legislation has come on the heels of extensive and Mr. Lawrence has said, extensive discussions and negotiations between the BOJ, the Ministry of Finance, and the credit union movement. The fact is that most of the challenges and the differences between the credit union movements and these institutions have been resolved. And we are closer in terms of an understanding as to where the credit union movement thinks we should be and where the Bank of Jamaica and the Ministry of Finance would like the institutions to be. And because of that, more or less, while we would much rather, from a global perspective, not to be regulated by anybody except the cooperative, the registrar of cooperatives, and the credit union league. The fact is that the international economic movement is moving towards a situation where all financial institutions, especially deposit-taking institutions, must be regulated. And one of the reasons for that is that you want to try to eliminate and manage the movement of potential terrorist funds and potential criminal funds moving around the world. So because of that, heavy regulations are being put in place internationally to regulate all deposit-taking institutions. And indeed, the credit union movement in Jamaica is one. Because the argument is that if they are not regulated in Jamaica, then nothing stops a terrorist from somewhere else to move those funds into Jamaica, into a credit union, and have access to it to use. So we should not, credit unions, like any other financial institution, should be regulated and governed by the Bank of Jamaica and by extension the Ministry of Finance. So on that basis, after a while, as a part of the national landscape, the credit union movement has agreed, and we will be going towards regulation by the Bank of Jamaica very soon, very shortly. The impact of that, however, is that it will serve to, the regulation by the Bank of Jamaica will secure quite a bit of our operations, because they have very technical people there who can give a lot of support and advice in what we do. Based upon our thinking is that this will serve to strengthen and secure our operations, and so we ask for your full support in providing information. And we say that because one of the critical things about the Bank of Jamaica is this concept of know your customer. And in this thing about know your customer, it is required that we have as much relevant information as possible about every single member of the credit union. And one of the things that we needed to do in 2015 was to gather as much of that information as possible, to update ourselves about you. So under the Know Your Customers principle, the Bank of Jamaica should be able to know that we have a member named Michael who comes here every now and again half drunk and give us a lot of problem, where he works, where he lives, and those kinds of things. So it is a part of the process of this regulation. And at some point, if we haven't come to you so far, we will be coming back to you to get this information. So please be patient and cooperative to us. It will result in a number of changes and implementation to be implemented, including more information being required to complete every single transaction. What do you need the money to do? What will you do with it? Where did your money come from, etc. Now, we want to have a look at our performance in 2015 in some of the key result areas. If you can see, and on the screen we have there presented that in 2015, we were able to move our savings by 88%. It moved from 1.98 billion to 4.17. Sorry, in 2014, it moved from 2.2 billion to 4.17. And I need for you to put these figures into context, because Ladies and gentlemen, from an accounting perspective, from an international standard, when you merge two institutions, you need to have what is called an acquiring institution. And when you use the acquiring institution, when you do a comparison in terms of their performance from one year to the next, you start with the performance of the acquiring institution, and then you move to the combined performance of both. So the 2015-14 figures that we are talking about is actually A squared, M squared figures. And the figure that we are talking about now in terms of the movement by 88%, it is the movement that from the combine that has presented 2015. So you can see we are speaking there about an 88% growth in savings. Our net loans moved from 2.27 to 4.2, which is an 84% increase. Our total asset moved from 3.14 billion to 5.95 billion, a 78% increase. Our delinquency moved from 1.44 to 7.7%, an increase of over 450%. 434? Okay. And ladies and gentlemen, we're going to speak some more about this during the course of the day. Our operating expenses our operating income moved from 397 million to 597 million, an increase of 50%. Our 2015 performance continued. We said savings moved up by 88%, representing an increase of 124 million or 3%. The combined position of the two. In other words, when we combine the position of the two credit unions and not doing a comparison from A squared to EduCom, when we combine, the combined savings increased by 124 million or 3% over the combined year. Our 2015 performance continued, and you can see that in the graph. Our savings, you can see the movement. 2014 went from 2.2 to 4.17. Our loans went from 2.25 to 4.2. Our assets from 3.1 to 5.59, and our delinquency moved from 1.4 to 7.7. We closed the year with total assets of 5.5 billion. Our non-performing loans showed an increase up to 7.7 million, and management has been mandated by the board to reduce and maintain the non-performing loan portfolio to less than 5% as of 2016. These figures, ladies and gentlemen, to a large extent, especially in the delinquency, reflects some of the things that are happening not only in the local economy but in the international economy, where things have become increasingly challenging for our members. And because of that, we have had some increases. Another thing about the delinquency is that the process of the merger has actually caused us to examine quite a lot of our accounts, because the movement from one computer system to the other has allowed us to delve in deep detail on some of our accounts, and we discovered that there were more delinquencies than we had anticipated. We have worked assiduously at this, worked very hard, and I could tell you that although this is jumping the gun a bit, but that this delinquency figure moved from 7.7%, has already moved from 7.7% to just over 5% at this point in time. So there has been improvement on this figure. Our 2015 figures continue, showing the movement of our operating income from the 3.97 to 5.79. Oh, sorry, 397.1. Okay. And this is explained here further. Our operating income from the period closed at 5.97 million, a growth of 46% over the performance of 2014, and 77% over the combined performance of the two former credit unions. In our operation experience for 2015, we have made a number of changes that are aimed at making life a lot easier for you, our members, and to improve the quality service that we give to you. So we have facilitated cash withdrawal and loan disbursement to up to $100,000. It was significantly less before at EduCom and also at UWI and UWI Mona Cooperative. This has increased to 100,000 by facilitating direct transfer to your accounts at other institutions, along with crediting your debit card with loans proceeds. We are reducing the need for you to come and do in-branch activities. Our partnership with NCB has also allowed you to go online and transfer directly from your bank to make payments on your accounts with us. How many people use the online facility with us? Can I see a show of hands? 1, 2, 3, 3. I am expecting that next year when we get back here, I wouldn't say everybody, but I'm anticipating that the vast majority of you will be showing your hands. It is so much easier to do these transactions online. You can sit in your office, you can do it at home, do it in the mornings, do it in the evenings, and it actually goes through. I'm one of those persons who used to like to hold my cash, and I had no idea what would happen after I pressed the button. And so I was very, very reluctant with doing transactions online. But I have discovered actually that it actually works, and that there's not some little man sitting up there in the sky ready to grab my money out of the line. So please, I encourage you, do not hesitate to use the online service. It is extremely convenient, very cost effective, and safe. Yes, that's the word, and safe. Okay. Okay, man. There are costs for some of the services, but there are some services that are free. There are some services that are free. Okay, continued with our improving service experience. We did some improvements, some aesthetics improvements on our head office, costing us about $7 million. Who like the ambience at the head office? Let me see a show of hands of those people who like it. Wow. The ambience, the look at the head office building, it's perfect? You don't like it? Very nice. Okay, thank you very much. Okay. Okay, we will be painting and refurbishing the EduCom branch at UWI. And the next step, we will be decentralizing some of our operations to the branches as we strive to use technology to improve the member service quality. The UWI has also will be renovated, and we will be actually focusing a lot on energy conservation. In marketing and promotion, our focus in 2015 in marketing and promotion was to promote the new EduCom brand in order to create national awareness for this brand. As a result, we did a lot of radio and television interviews, a lot of radio and television advertising campaign, and the launch of the brand with the opening of the head office on April 30th, 2015. Ladies and gentlemen, I think that today, because of this effort, the market and promotion effort, EduCom is now one of the most recognizable credit union brands in Jamaica. And I would like to thank management and staff who put this effort out in making sure that this has happened. We are, however, mindful that the best and indeed the cheapest method of promoting our services to people is through you. Word of mouth promotion and your recommendation is the best thing that can happen to us. And fellow corporators, we depend on you to create as many members as possible for your credit union. EduCom strategic focus. 2015 strategic focus for us was, first of all, in addressing the challenges related to the merger of the credit union. It also involved completing all the legal requirements required for the merger. That legal requirement involved things such as establishing new rules, a new set of policies, and going through actually designing the credit union from a legal and operational point of view. We did also in 2015 develop a business plan actually that was extended for over the next 5 years. We did a lot of rebranding activities, as was mentioned before. We had to address a temporary decline in the quality of service. And this temporary decline in the quality of service, ladies and gentlemen, colleagues, arose because of the fact that you're putting two new cultures together. Not only two new cultures, you're moving everything. Two institutions operated on two different computer platforms. You needed to move them to one, to merge the institution, and that learning process that we had to go through, because half of us didn't know the new system. And so the staff had to go through the learning process, had to adjust themselves, and they had to get to know the new members. The new members had to get to know new staff. And so there was a learning curve that we had to go up. Because of that, there was a temporary decline in the quality of service that you would have received. And as I said before, we apologize and we are confident that today we have more or less overcome those challenges. We had to deal with the matter of increased delinquency, which I also explained to you earlier. We had to staff the new entity. And in the merger, the staffing process actually, ladies and gentlemen, involved interviewing and getting to know every single member of staff of EduCom and UWI Cooperative Credit Union to make sure everybody was placed in the position that their talent and ability could be best used in the interest of the institution. And so we went through all of that. And as a result of that process, we are happy and we are confident that we have put together a fantastic team of individuals to serve this credit union going forward. We also addressed some IT issues because, again, in the process of the merger, we had to deal with all the technical issues that was involved. Training, applying new equipment, new programs, all the things that had to be done to make it a smooth and efficient process. Michael, I take your question at the end. And finally, our focus was on creating and establish a new and specific culture that is unique for EduCom. Our strategic vision. Our strategic vision is driven by the credit union's vision, which says in 2020, EduCom Cooperative Credit Union is a member-centric, service-oriented, financially sound, and technologically driven, and is the top credit union in Jamaica in member value, compliance, and satisfaction. Anybody think we can achieve that? With your support, I'm confident that we will be able to do it. Because of that, our 2016 strategic focus are firstly on people. We want to continue to keep the best quality people. We want to train them. We want to ensure that they are there ready to serve you. The management and staff on a day-to-day basis, the volunteers ought to be trained and committed people who are there to serve and give guidance for the credit union on your behalf. We want to improve, again, continue to improve the quality of our service. So service excellence will continue to be a major focus of EduCom. And then one of our focus is going to be on growth. Growth is going to be an important part of our strategy moving forward as we seek to take advantage of the expanded bond of the credit union to grow the membership and to secure the sustainability of EduCom. We want to increase savings through much target marketing. So the staff will be calling you, and I don't want to call the name of any other institution, but I'll assure you that EduCom have some of the best savings rate in Jamaica. Best. And The staff will be calling you because we don't think that you should be putting your savings in other institutions when you can get the best rate from EduCom. I can't understand that people would want to maximize their earnings would have an opportunity in their own credit union to get the best possible return and will still keep their money in some strange banks. Very strange banks. These banks are institutions that in 6 months, their profit is equivalent to the asset size of EduCom. In 6 months, that is their profit. And they are not paying the interest that we are paying. And you sit there and you have your money with them? Please, what is the credit union hours again, Mr. King? 8 to 5? All right, and Monday morning, please take on extra staff. Because everybody is coming with their savings on Monday morning. They're transferring it online. Okay, all right. So we want increased savings through target marketing. Then we will be seeking to manage the credit union risks. And the management of the credit union risk, of course, is directly related to the level of delinquency. Then we seek to improve efficiency and service delivery. What's wrong? To ensure effectiveness and productivity. Our strategic outlook. The leadership is committed to a strategic position of differentiation through service excellence. So one of the things you should know shortly is just by walking into EduCom, based on the quality and the excellence of service that you will be getting from them, you will know that you are in EduCom. We want to maintain this sustainable competitive advantage. The ability to maintain this sustainable competitive advantage requires that we have the best quality staffing, that the staff are properly coached, that we evaluate and develop, and we seek to differentiate ourselves from the competition. The application of technology in meeting these members' needs will also continue to be an important focus from us. One of the strategic objectives I want to get back to is that of growth. And we want to grow EduCom. We want to continue to grow EduCom. And to manage the growth is an essential, to manage the growth is essential for the viability and sustainability of the organization. There are two ways to grow a business. That is organic and inorganic growth. The organic growth is an internally focused growth in which you use your savings to build and grow the organization. The inorganic growth happens through merger. EduCom, one of EduCom's focus is to continue to focus on merger as a strategy. And this merger comes not simply from the fact that internally we know that it has worked, but as Mr. Lawrence pointed out, there are many opportunities that are going to be available for us to assist in servicing members' requirements and adding value to their lives, because there are going to be many credit unions that are going to be under threat because of the BOJ requirements. When the BOJ assumes the position of regulator of the credit union movement, they have certain standards of assets and certain standards of behavior and performance that they require from credit unions that unfortunately a number of our smaller sister credit unions might not be able to meet. One of the good things that has happened to us recently is that you, our members, have allowed us the opportunity to merge UII and A Squared Credit Union. And in that process, we have learned a lot. We have straightened out a lot of the challenges that we have, and we understand and know how it is to make the best advantage of a merger in the interest of our members. You will hear some more about this as we go along, because it is entrenched somewhere further on in my presentation. Some of the factors that causes us to want to look at merger is for the BOJ requirements as regulator of credit unions and the need to continue to grow our assets in response to the increased demand from you, our members. During the year, the board began discussions with St. Catherine Cooperative Credit Union to investigate the possibility of merging with them. Discussions have progressed well. I'm sure that some of you in here are residents in St. Catherine, and some of you might even already be members of St. Catherine Cooperative Credit Union. The idea is that through the merger, we will be able to again build on the synergy of where quite a number of our members live in the St. Catherine area, stroke Portmore area, and that through that, we will be able to extend our reach in the St. Catherine area and indeed in other areas throughout Jamaica. We will come to you at some time in the future to discuss this matter and to seek to get your approval. We are confident that the merged institution will be more capable of satisfying stringent regulatory requirements of the Bank of Jamaica, strengthen our capital base, and enhance our ability to effectively compete and satisfy the requirements of our members. But there won't be any serious competition issue very soon, because as long as all my members bring their savings to the credit union, we would have resolved most of that. Amen. Right. Okay. In closing, I want to say thanks to the following institutions that have served us, and supported us throughout 2015. I would like to say a special thanks to the University of the West Indies and all its facilities for supporting us, and in particular the UWI branch and campus. To the Credit Union League for the support and guidance they have given us over the year. To BDO for the advice, although expensive, right? For the advice they have given us over the year and the support they have given us. They have been tremendous auditors. To the Registrar of Cooperatives and Friendly Society for their guidance and their patience with us as we struggle with this merger. And I must say to you, ladies and gentlemen, that Mr. Webb here has been, what should I say, a Trojan in this process. He has been the man who has stayed with us all over the years. We would like to say thanks to all the principals and bursars of schools that we have members in. We'd like to say thanks to the Kuna Mutual family, to the Jamaica Cooperative Insurance Agency family, Highgate Solutions, our IT provider, Samuda and Johnson, our attorneys at law, Usain Williams and Company, also attorneys at law, to all of my fellow volunteers, to the members of the board and directors, to the members of the supervisory committee, to the members of the credit committee, to all the EduCom ambassadors who serve in the various schools and other institutions over Jamaica, I thank you. To the management and staff of EduCom, say a special thanks. And of course, to you, my colleagues, my fellow cooperators, for your support, for your patience, for staying with us, and for being here this morning. It could never have been done without you. I thank you. Michael, please use that mic. No, that one doesn't work.
Mr. President, there's a thing you see, Mr. President, that says getting to know your president also. Michael Gentles, I'm the one that the president is referring to, that I come and get trouble.
No, I didn't say that.
Yeah, all right, whatever. But this is a, you said that there's a thing that you get to know your customer. So I'm telling you, there's also a thing that you get to know your president.
True.
Yes. So therefore, Mr. President, we see you from you start picking on me, you have some bad news to tell us. What is this bad news, Mr. President? Because there is some bad news you want to tell us. and you're starting it from early.
No, I've given the report already, and there's no bad news in it. But can I just suggest that what you do is, we have about 3 or 4 other reports lined up behind me. You probably should listen to them to see if there are bad news anywhere, and then you can get the mic again.
Okay, so.
What do you think about it?
Well, I'm waiting and see what is happening.
Yes, man, please.
All
Please.
right.
Yes. Thank you very much. Any other questions? Yes? And if there are any other questions, you could probably make your way to the mics while others are making it. So.
Good morning. Christine.
Morning, Christine.
I'm glad to hear that the credit union is making so much progress. I think it's an excellent credit union. I've always supported over the years. I have one question. When is the credit union going to pay back dividends? At the moment, you are getting 1% on your savings. The lowest price loan you have is 9.5%. When are we going to start getting back a dividend?
Okay. Christine, that's an excellent question, but let me answer it to you this way. In the payment of, let me use the word rewards for the time being. The payment of rewards to our members has shifted significantly based on the international standards and requirements. We no longer pay dividend on your shares, your ordinary shares. We pay interest on it. And we pay interest because it is treated as a deposit. We pay dividend, however, on your permanent shares. So we will pay interest. Yes.
What has been happening to the surplus of the credit union, because we are getting such small interest on the shares that we have? Is it that the credit union is no longer representing the credit union?
Okay.
If that is the case, we need to be informed, because I know that other credit unions are still paying dividends. So I don't know if I accept that that's where you're shifted. I don't think that's a satisfactory answer at all.
All right. As I was saying, Christine, basically the law and the accounting practice has been shifted from paying dividend. If you were to look at, or if we were to do a mathematical calculation of the interest that we have paid to our members over the last year,
and what percentage is that, sir?
that was 38 million.
Yeah.
It was 38.
Percentage.
Let me speak, Christine. Let me speak. That would be $38 million that we paid in interest on your shares. In the previous dispensation, we would not have paid that as interest expense on your shares. We would have kept it, and it would have been expressed as our profit, and we would have paid that to you as dividend. So fundamentally, the payment of this reward, how we go about it, has shifted from the back to the front. And we pay it to you during the year as interest on your shares rather than paying it as dividends. No. As a general rule, Christine, even if, I must say that this year, 2015, we did not make a significant profit. Let me speak, Christine, let me answer you, please. So we did not make a significant profit in 2015 because of the merger. So I accept that. But this which we have said, that I said just now, has been happening from before the merger, when indeed we had an extremely profitable credit union. The biggest challenge that this credit union has had since I would say for the last 10 years perhaps, has been the merger last year, which has impacted our profitability. But as I said, even though we only made about $2 million profit this year, we did manage to pay our members significant interest on their shares.
Yes, and I suspect that this year, last year, in an extraordinary year, yes, we could have foreclosed a dividend here, because we do not expect to pay a dividend if the credit union does not make money. But I am still saying that it's no bargain. So how are we going to get the rewards out of the credit union? And if you're a shareholder in the bank and you have a deposit, you get the interest that the bank pays on your deposit, but it also pays your dividend when a dividend is declared.
Yeah, I've tried. I'm going to hand this over to a better man than I to see if he can answer that. Come, Mr. King.
Hope that I'll get some support from the members also.
Good morning, Christine and members.
Good morning, Mr. King.
I'm not so sure that I'm a better man. But as he has alluded to, there is this shift. Now, what we have to look at is that it's only permanent shares that we'll be paying interest on, and if dividend on. So recall that each member has $2,000 in their permanent shares, right? So that's what dividend will be paid on. You agreed that for 2015, because of the merger, would have had a lot of challenges and additional expenses. So you would not have been able, we would not be coming to you this year with a dividend proposal. But already we are seeing from this year's performance for the first 3 months that our performance is extremely well, and fingers crossed it's kept over the year. And of course, at the end of 2016, we would be able to then propose dividend on your permanent shares, as you are accustomed to.
So let me ask a question, Mr. King. Where does all the other surplus go to? So we are only being paid a dividend on permanent shares now, or interest on deposit. Where does all the surplus, the rest of the surplus go? Where does it go? And who does it belong to?
You.
And what time will it come back to the shareholder, to the credit union members as rewards for being in the credit union?
Okay, so over the years, and Christine, I'm sure that you have always been at our meetings. Over the years, we have come to the meeting and we have shown how each year what profit has been made, our surplus, and we have said to our members, this is how we will appropriate it. Members who have always come to AGM would remember this. So we would have put up on the screen appropriation XYZ, and the members would have voted each year as to how we should put, where we should put these additional surplus. So that's really not new.
So, Mr. King,
yes.
Does it mean then the difference between what we used to get as dividend and what we now get as interest? What has happened to all of that fund? That's the question I'm asking. Because it must be that we have a large reserve somewhere then.
Yes.
And why do we need that large reserve? Is that a new requirement of the regulatory body? We would like to know. That's what we're asking.
Okay, that's a very
what do you do with the money?
Okay, that's a very
When will it belong? Come back to us.
Yeah, okay. So that's a very good question, follow-up question, Christine. So there are some requirements that we have to have some minimum reserves that are retained as part of our capital. So each year, as I said earlier, we would have been putting away funds in that reserves and so that we maintain this ratio. Up until the end of 2015, we had
664 million.
Yeah, $664 million in our institutional capital.
Yes.
No, that is because of the performance of both credit unions over the years, where we have put away some of the profit. Because this is a requirement, remember that we have to retain some of our profit so that we ensure. So that's where most of the money is.
So is there a maximum that this reserve is supposed to go to, or does it depend on the amount of capital you have every year or your liabilities every year?
Yes.
Does it mean then that there will never come back a point where we'll get some of these rewards that we used to get in the past from the credit union?
No, I don't think that. I think that going forward, as I said earlier, the performance up to the first quarter has been extremely good, and already.
So does that mean that at the end of 2016 we might get a dividend?
Let us do this, because I don't want to talk about. I don't want to say to you, Chris, exactly. I don't want you to come back next year, which I know you'll be here, to say to me, Mr. King, you had said. But I can tell you that for the first quarter, we have done better than we thought we would have done. And if this is maintained, not only will we be able to continue to pay interest on ordinary shares, but we'll have a substantial surplus so that we can say to you, here is how we want to appropriate the funds to you and some to the capital.
Okay, because I was going to ask then, if we are not going back to where we get some of this surplus, if that a higher rate of interest could be paid on your shares.
Yes,
because it's very bad.
That's
we are getting about what, 1%?
1.75.
Yeah, we're about closer to 2%, not 1. Yeah, but your point is well taken though, and I'm saying to you, come the end of this year, if this performance continue, you will see where we'll say, here is the appropriation, here's the amount of money that we have made for 2016, here is how we plan to appropriate it, and you get a chance to vote on it. So if we are putting too much away into capital, you can say, give me more in my hand.
And we will hold you to that, Mr.
Yes, certainly.
Most definitely. Because I'll be back if God's willing next year. Okay? Okay, but the plan for that is there's no surprise money of this land.
No, ladies and gentlemen, let me make one simple clarification here. I understand what is being spoken about, but there's one clarification that we need to understand. There are two ways that we can pay benefits to our members. One is that we pay interest on your shares out of the profits that we make, or we pay dividends. Basically, in a sense, is one in terms of the timing of the payment and also the use of the terminology. When you pay it at the end, after you have accounted for your profit, you pay a dividend. When we pay it as a part of our expense to your money, we treat that as interest. You have been getting that benefit in terms of interest. And we paid $38 million in that form. Yes, it is 1% because the amount of savings has increased. So the amount to share, because one of the things you could do, one of the questions we have to answer is that we could answer your question, Christine, in terms of getting the dividend higher. But I tell you how you will do it. If you have a system where you have enough money that you can pay interest of $38 million up front, and then you're going to then be able to pay a $50 million dividend at the end of the year, it means that in theory, you have to be making about $90 million in profit. To make $90 million in profit, it means being able to get more interest on loans, pay less on savings, and for us to be able to increase the bottom line. So it's a choice that you make. So you have to contemplate whether in the process you are going to pay the interest as an expense or you pay the dividend at the end of the year. One way or the other, it is going to be about $40–50 million because that is the level of profit that you gear the credit union towards, i.e., your level of interest expense and your level of interest earning. You can increase your profit in such a way that you make $150 million and that you pay $50 million out of it as interest and you have $100 million to pay as dividend. You can do that. But at what cost? Do I increase your loan interest do I reduce your expense, our interest expense? Having said that, and having listened to that speech, let me say this. We actually have a treasurer who is about to make a presentation to you. And he is the man with the figures. And he is the man who a lot of these questions can be aimed at. My humble job was to give you a global presentation of the performance of the institution.
Mr. Nesbitt,
Let me, however...
that the credit union is being worse than it was doing in the past. That's a question we need to ask.
No, it is not. And we said it before.
Why is it then in the past we could have been paying up to 10% per annum dividend, and we are only getting 1% interest on savings now?
All right.
Something must be wrong.
All right. Can I allow the treasurer to make his presentation, and during his presentation, this answer will come up, because we have to also move the meeting along. So, may I invite Mr. Can I have a motion for the acceptance of the president's report? You made it? Yeah. Yes, sir. You have a question?
Sorry. Yes. All right. Lloyd Witt, I'm a member of the UTEC. Well, I guess I'm a member of EduCom, but
yes,
I was formerly a member of the UTEC Credit Union.
Thank you.
First, I must say, congratulate the member who asked those very searching questions. They're all very relevant questions, and I hope that the treasurer will be able to add or clarify further. Yes. Okay. Yes, I was just saying that I want to congratulate the member who asked those very searching questions, and I hope the treasurer will be able to add to the answers that you have given, because I think they still need some clarification in relation to the rate of dividends and the interest which is paid on both share capital, permanent share capital, and deposits. Now, in fact, in terms of the permanent share capital, I've heard that one of the answers which was given. I'm wondering whether, excuse me, one should not now look at the option of perhaps members deciding to increase their permanent share capital and allow them to run the dividends rather than having to start minimum, where you're going to get little or nothing in terms of the return on the permanent share capital. But that's something that maybe we should consider. In fact, Chairman, I want more benign question for you. So let me just ask quickly. You mentioned in your presentation that there is now a cash reserve requirement which will be applicable to credit unions under the BOJ regulations.
What requirement, sir?
Cash reserve requirement.
Okay.
Did you say there's a reserve requirement?
Yes.
To be imposed? I'm asking what is that rate and how does it compare to the rate that's applicable to commercial banks or the other deposit-taking institutions within the Jamaican financial sector?
I think the BOJ is going to require that we have 20% of our assets kept with them. How that compares, Mr. Webb, can you say how it compares to the banks?
I don't have that information.
No, I don't have that information.
No, I know the banks now currently have a total of 26%, 12% cash reserve requirement, and 14% liquid assets ratio.
Okay.
So it's a total of 26 for the banks. So I just wanted to see what the comparison.
Yeah. We'll find out on it, If you give us your information, we'll contact you.
Okay, thank you.
But can I say this? One of the points that you made about permanent shares, we were discussing, the board was discussing just this point last night. Because we feel that at this point, very soon, we'll be coming to our members and asking them to increase the level of permanent shares. The truth is that we have been mindful about the concerns that Christine has put on the table because of the fact that in paying the interest in the middle of the year, twice per year, we have drifted away from what we are accustomed to in terms of a healthy 10% dividend. And I know people miss their dividend. And even when you tell people that, look, we actually paid you interest on your savings throughout the year, and therefore this is the money that you got, they still say to you, what about my dividend? And so from that point of view, we need to find some way that we can find a compromise between the payment of dividend interest and find some way to pay an attractive dividend to you, our members. And again, we have been mindful of that, and we have again been discussing it. And as Mr. King said, one of the ambition, one of the interests we have, our performance so far this year has been quite impressive. And in our discussions, we have decided that should this impressive performance continue, we are going to ensure that not only are we going to continue to pay the interest, and we will continue to pay the interest, we're going to find some method of ensuring that we pay an attractive dividend to the members at the end of 2016. So I am making no commitment about numbers, but I'm making a commitment that if this performance continues, an attractive dividend will be paid to everybody. And even to start the process, this year, we have also decided to increase the number of permanent shares, as we just said a while ago. We are increasing the number of permanent shares for each member of the credit union by transferring a significant sum from our retained earnings to every single person to increase their permanent shares in the credit union. Right? And this is not because of Christine. We took that decision before. Okay, sir, last question.
Yes, sir. Good morning, Chair. Good morning, colleagues. As Rowan Hibbert is my name. As a newer or younger member of the credit union of EduCom, I'm hearing increasing savings through target marketing. I'm also hearing Grandma say not putting all the eggs in one basket. Could you just shed some light on the two? I'm hearing you say increasing savings through target marketing in the strategic. I'm also hearing another general guide about not putting all the eggs in one basket, and could you just shed some light in terms of a modern day way of viewing and thinking, and as a younger or newer member of the credit union.
What is your name again?
Rowan Hibbert.
Rowan Hibbert. Rowan, you don't expect me to stand up here and tell you to put your money somewhere else. My job is to tell you to put your money with EduCom. I mean, as the president of EduCom, I am confident that EduCom is going to be successful and going to survive. So I will tell you, I will just ask you that on this particular occasion, ignore what your grandmother tells you. And bring the money to EduCom. And if you want me to talk to your grandmother, I talk to your grandmother. Thanks. Question over that side.
I have a problem here. I was thinking about the delinquency rate, moving up to 7.7, and then you said as we speak it could have been gone back down to 5.5. Yes. I'm saying to you as members, because I am one who suffered as a result. When you have criminals, criminals are criminals, and if they are breaking the rules, the laws of the country, you have to find ways and means of punishing them. I'm saying to you, I know for sure it had gone down because the members who had stood security for the persons to get the loan are the ones who are sanctioned, and they have to be paying back those loans. And how do they do it? They have to come back to you, make arrangement, take additional loans on top of what they have to clear the loans of those criminals. I don't believe that the process that you're using, to sanction those delinquents are enough. I know for certain, I am struggling even as we speak, even after I've paid off the loan for an individual, to get her to sanction, to pay me back. I still have to be calling her overseas. And even though I had gone out of my way, track down that person, take the name of the individual, the location to the institution. The institution was not interested in finding that person. They said to me, I am the person who has signed the paper. But when you look at it, I am helping the institution to make money. Because if I did not sign that paper, you would not have been collecting interest on that loan. So the onus, when it comes to the delinquent, it cannot be on the shoulder of the person who is helping you to make money. You have to do something more than just saying that, yes, you have to pay back. You're encouraging the thieves to get away with those acts. I am not pleased. You're encouraging them to go on and to go on and to go on at the expense of those who are helping you to make money.
And I thank you very much for that intervention, and I agree with the things that they have said. We have the fact that we can say to you today that our delinquency has moved down from 7.7 to just over 5% is really a testimony to how aggressive we have become at this. And we have taken quite a bit of the position that you have expressed. Perhaps we should actually consider putting you on the delinquency committee. But I'm not so sure that you could treat them as criminal, you could treat the members as criminal. All right. But thank you very much for that intervention. Last question around the back.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. I've been a member of the then UA Monarch Corp since 2011, and since the merger and since January of this year, I have noticed in my permanent shares account a deduction each month of $81.55. I am now asking if that's a new maintenance fee, or do you have new fee structures, sir?
Ordinary share. Yeah, it's your permanent, your ordinary share.
Right.
Yeah. There's a fee, maintenance fee on ordinary savings, not on your permanent share.
Sorry. Sir? All right, so I'm asking you questions in parts while we dialogue.
Sure.
This fee that I noticed as of January for each month, I can't remember being advised of this, and it so happens that I have a friend who works at the Montego Bay branch. So I called him via phone and I asked him, and he checked the account and he said, oh, it seems as if it is a new implementation. I was not advised of this before, and it turned out that I had to log into my account to see that there are deductions each month in order to be informed.
Okay, so I think we have to take responsibility for not informing you. I'm sorry, I didn't get your name, I'm sorry.
My name is Glenise Henry.
Yes, Ms. Henry. I think we have to take full responsibility for not informing you that there would have been service charge to your account.
Okay, you're taking responsibility.
Sure.
What's the next move? Do I move my money from EduCom and go to another financial institution? Do I save my money beneath my mattress?
No.
Or what do I do? Because before you continue, please, my objective, and as a young individual, and I don't know your financial terms, I'm a science person. When I joined the credit union in 2011, my objective was to save and to make more money on my savings, really. And my understanding when I joined the credit union was that the maintenance fees would have been pulled from whatever quote-unquote rewards Mr. President had made mention of earlier. And I just asked a member of the credit union, and they were having dialogue with me, breaking it down, allowing me to understand. So I'm saying, whatever maintenance fees that were there from before, it would have been negligible because I would not have noticed it before, but I am noticing it now. And if it is $81.55, that's almost $980 for the year. So I am losing $980 for the year, and I'm not noticing where my interest is.
Yeah. Okay, so what I first thing I want to say to you that I would hope that you don't take the decision to move your funds nor put it under the mattress.
All right, I was playing
let me
devil's
just,
advocate instead.
yeah,
You don't need to address that part of it.
yeah. What you'll notice though, that in the financial market, you're not going to get away from fees wherever you go in the financial market. What we have tried to do, let me just finish with her and then you can ask some more questions, please. What we have tried to do is to cover some of the expenses related to these administrative, managing these accounts. However, we have taken a decision to make sure that our cost is substantially lower than the market. So what you can do is do an investigation and see.
I have an account with another financial institution, sir. They're a bank, by the way.
Yeah.
And I was of the opinion before that their rates in general were much different. And, well, I was of the opinion that the credit union's rates, interest rates, whatever rates, were better than the other financial institution. But no, I will have to reconsider my opinion. I will have to reconsider, because I have money in other accounts in the financial institution allocated wherever else, and I am not seeing those deductions.
You're not still there.
Per month.
Thank you, Mr. King. But, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
Let me assure you, see, that every single financial institution in Jamaica takes service charges out of your money.
I know that,
every
sir.
single one. Hang on. Let me respond, please. Let me respond. When we decided to introduce service charge at EduCom, we examined every single credit union in Jamaica, and we examined every single bank in Jamaica. The decision we took placed our service charge at the absolutely lowest level of the scale. Absolutely lowest level of the scale. So I tell you that if you were to significantly look at your statements from the various banks that you have your funds in, you will find that $83 per month is negligible compared to what they're charging. No?
No. If I have my money in another financial institution and I am comparing where my money is, I am seeing what is happening with my accounts.
And they charge you less service charge?
And they are charging me less.
I doubt that. I doubt that very much.
May I have another question.
Where do you pay zero credit? Yeah, sorry. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir. I have a question. I'm of the understanding that the service charge is deducted from the ordinary. What did you say? Ordinary shares. Yeah. The ordinary shares account. Do I allocate my money in another account? Say, for instance, my Golden Harvest or Wealth Creator account, and just don't put any money at all in my ordinary shares account?
I'm not so sure what to answer that. You can do that, but the fact is that, look, the fact is that we have to move on with this meeting, but let me assure you about this. There are administrative charges that every financial institutions have to make. It is one of the systems that, for example, let me give you a very simple example of how this works. And I want to be careful that I'm not going to be, as we say, putting my foot in my mouth. But let me say this. If you have a member like Mr. King, Mr. King has an account in the credit union with $1 million in it. Mr. King, it's more than $1 million? Okay, what Mr. King does is that he leaves that $1 million there. He does nothing with it. He doesn't borrow, he does nothing. All Mr. King does is wait for dividend and interest payment. Mr. King, if there are no service charge, we cover nothing from Mr. King in terms of administering that account. We need to have a system where we can recover some of our service charges, so our administrative expenses from these accounts. And it's a simple matter that we looked in the market and we have done simply what is being done by every other financial institution. Nothing else.
I'm not understanding what you're saying about Mr. King's $1 million and his account.
I'm sure
Mr. King's $1 million, that is incomparable to my $100 in my Mr. King's $1 million is his $1 million. My $100 is my $100.
You're not going to make this a conversation about $1 million or $100.
No, I really don't want to make it a conversation about Mr. King's $1 million. You mentioned Mr. King's $1 million. I ask you, sir, if it is that I can allocate my money in another account.
All right. Can I suggest something because we have to move on with the meeting? Can I suggest that for the answer to that particular question, you go to the credit union on Monday morning and have a conversation?
I cannot go to the credit union on Monday morning. It so happens that last week Friday was my last day on my contract where I was working and I need to find another job somewhere else. I have no time to leave where I am living now to go to the credit union on Monday morning. And this is the forum for these other questions.
But I understand
this is the forum, and I'm sure I'm not the only person who has this problem. And I made mention of this issue just now, and I can see the awe on other person's faces as if they did not know of the problem too. They are just finding out, and it so happened I had to log into my account online, and I noticed these deductions. I was not informed of them even before.
Okay, for us to move on then, because we have lots of things to cover. For us to move on, can you suggest to me what, in your opinion, is the solution?
Yes, we need to move on, and I think somebody really needs to take note of this, and we can follow up on it.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I thank you. We will follow up on it.
Sure.
Thank you. Next question.
Hi, good morning. My name is Ava Austin.
Yes, Ava.
And it seems as if there has been a communication problem with the credit union and its members, because from time to time I go to the credit union, request a statement just to see where my standing is. I went to the credit union and got a statement. I have a motor vehicle loan, and then I took out another loan. I took the motor vehicle loan at a particular percentage, and I enjoyed that percentage. I took another loan, and then I assumed that it was at a different percentage than the motor vehicle loan. Could have been higher. When I looked at my statement, I am paying, all my loan is the one is paid at the higher interest. When I asked about it, they said that that's how it has been. I said, no, I signed up for the motor vehicle loan at a lower, and it was very attractive to me. So that is why I applied, because I mean, everybody's throwing out loans and at low rates. You did mention that the credit union has the best rates. I don't think so. You understand? And when I look, 20%, my motor vehicle loan is coming from 14. And then I'm paying 20% and I couldn't get any redress. You understand? So what I did, I just went and got a consolidation and took out the money, because I couldn't be paying 20% when I signed up for 14%. What the person said to me was that it is in this agreement when you sign it. And I'm saying, okay, yes. You know that, I mean, basically, a gentleman just said, Ms. Austin, you know that this new loan is going to be combined, right? Nothing is wrong with just reminding me, because I didn't know that.
Okay.
You understand? My other problem with that is that when, I'm assuming that when the treasurer makes his report, he's going to show the different breakdown of the loans, right? No, I think it's going to be misleading, because if you're going to now join my two loans, what are you going to call it? Motor vehicle loan, or are you going to call it personal loan?
Yeah, it's a last loan. But I want to say to you, though, that I think you need to be very observant, and because remember, you're signing a loan agreement, and this is not to say to the members of staff that they ought not to explain every single thing to you. But you'd have gotten a loan agreement, and what would have happened there is that you started a loan and you borrowed another loan, and the second loan, because they are not carried as two loans, they became one loan. So you are now carrying the interest rate. And if it was the reverse, meaning that if you had borrowed a personal loan and your second loan was for the motor vehicle and it's combined, then the interest rate for everything would have gone down similarly. So it works both ways. But the key thing I want to say to you though is that before you sign on those forms, look at them carefully, because it's your responsibility so that you're not in a position later on to be complaining that you are now paying a rate that you're not aware of. Okay?
Yeah, but then how are you going to say now that my loan that I have, that because when they used to have this other loan called vacation loan, it used to be separated, you know?
Yeah, but we are separated. Well, I'm assuming that you're talking about some time ago. But because loans are being separated now. Now the other thing about separating loans, and if you separate the loans, you're asked to pay more because you'd have had one loan and you're now renegotiating another loan. Your liquidity position is going to be hampered because you have to continue on with the first contract. If you were paying $30,000, that will have to continue until it finished, and you borrow another $200,000, your repayment is going to be on that $200,000 plus whatever it is that you were paying on the car loan. So in terms of your monthly obligations, it becomes significantly higher. So you have to weigh these two things. One, an interest rate. Two, your liquidity position each month, your cash flow. Can you manage this amount each month if the loans are not combined? So all of this, I want you to take into consideration when you're applying for your loan.
Yeah, but if you're saying to me now that my loan that I have is I have a car motor vehicle loan, right? And I say borrow education.
Right.
You're going to say that the full percentage, whichever is higher, whichever is the last one, that's the rate I'm paying. But then you combine the loans. At the end of the day, when I look in the financial statement, what is that loan? What is that loan? Is it my motor vehicle loan or is it my...
Your last one. What I'm saying right now... Yes, okay, your last... What I'm saying to you though, is that you can make the decision. You can make the decision for it to be separated. But when you make that decision, also bear in mind that your cash flow position on a monthly basis will be impacted negatively. Okay?
But if you make the separation, isn't it going to be
No,
same
it
1%?
can't be, because you would have had a loan that you are now, let's say you're 1 year into that loan of a 5-year loan. You would have to keep that contract going until for the next 4 years and start a new contract with another loan right now for this one. So your repayment would have to be on this loan plus whatever you were paying previously. You follow?
Yeah, but I'm talking about percentage-wise. Because if I got a loan at a lower rate, you know, I'm getting a loan and everything is going to get a higher rate.
No, not at all.
But
I'm just explaining to you, if they are combined, that's what happens if they have combined, but you can make the decision for them to be separated and pay more money.
You don't necessarily pay more.
Yeah, man, that's how it is, that's how it is.
Ladies and gentlemen, I see quite a number of persons coming to the mic, and I understand that people need to ask questions, but the fact is that we have to decide, and I'm just pointing this out. The original objective was for this meeting to end at 1 o'clock. We have, just a minute, I'm just pointing this out to you. We have a number of reports to go through. I have no problems taking the questions, but just be mindful that at the end of the process, I will not be able to guarantee you an end time. Please just be mindful of that. I am happy to take all questions. I'm not stopping any questions. But the number of questions, because you have only heard one report, the number of questions will determine how long we stay here this afternoon. Just for that. Yes, Ms. Rebo.
Yes, my name is Patricia Rebo. Mr. President, I think you should be careful how you make blanket statements, because I have my account at National Commercial Bank and I pay 0 administrative fees. I'm 67 years old. The In another 2 months' time, I will be 68 years old. So by virtue of my age and the fact that I am retired and not earning anymore, the National Commercial Bank does not charge me any administrative fees on my account. And I am quite surprised to know that the EduCom Credit Union has imposed fees on my account without even informing me, because over the last month, you have been blanketing me with several emails regarding this meeting. And therefore, if you have started dipping your hand in my account, you ought to have sent me an email to tell me that. And if that is the case, then I will certainly on Monday morning, you can expect to see me at 8:30 a.m. to remove that money and send it to the National Commercial Bank, where I pay 0 administrative fees.
Thank you, Ms. Remover. But I think, ladies and gentlemen, while we take Ms. Remover's point, the fact is that I'm not so sure how many of us have managed to reach 68 years old. I know that been done. So I congratulate you, Ms. Remover, and certainly it suggests that you are benefiting from the fact that you are senior amongst us. Mr. King probably has not been enjoying that benefit as yet, as indeed a couple of us here. But we look at your concerns about your account and the age, and management will speak to you about it in the very near future. But your point is very well taken. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Yes, Lloyd Wint again. Just to say that I don't think you should miss a very important point. That if in fact you have instituted monthly admin fee on table accounts and don't advise your members. Members of the organization, if the stockholder companies advise their shareholders and their customers when they impose fees. And in fact, I'm sure that is a contravention of the BOJ regulations. If you impose fees and don't advise your members.
I don't think it's a contravention at all.
It is. I can tell you it is. All right? It's a requirement of BOJ. My point, though, stems from the previous, not the last, the one before, about the loan and loan interest, how that's applied. Because as I said, I came from the Uruguay side of the family. And I applied for a loan last year. And at the time I was paying 8.5%. It's a secured loan, cash secured loan. With the merger, I applied for a loan, only to be told that the rate has now gone up to 14.5. And I said, quite frankly, this merger doesn't suit me because
for the same purpose?
Same purpose.
Cash secured?
Cash secured. Worse yet to come. In a few months ago, I went back and sought to access some more funds within the same cash secured rate. And I was told that the new rate is 18%. And I said, you guys are crazy. I see EduCom advertising to lend to buy cars at 9.5%. And I come to give you cash secured, totally cash secured loan, and you take about 18%.
Must be an error.
I said, what kind of risk management framework is that?
That's an error.
What a risk management framework is that?
Yeah,
I mean, how can you take a cash secured loan? Huh?
Yeah.
Which is the best loan as far as I'm concerned.
Sure.
And you charge me twice the rate that you're going to lend for a man who buy a car.
Yeah, we take that.
Okay.
But it has to be an error that was made. That we don't
well, let me tell you something. I protested and I threatened to move my account.
And what happened?
Right? And they and I won't say who, but the person investigated. And eventually they agreed that they will keep it at the old rate.
Okay. So
but it wasn't a matter that if I didn't protest and say, look, this is crazy risk management policies and practices,
well,
it would not have been dealt with.
That speaks to our flexibility.
Okay.
So
no, don't take it lightly.
No, we're
I'm
not.
saying that you need to address your risk management policies properly, because you cannot take a loan that's cash secured and seeking to charge twice the rate.
Yeah.
On a loan, for a loan that you're going to use to buy a car or do something.
We agree with that.
Right? So you need to look at risk management. All right?
But we take your point,
Okay.
100%.
All right.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. President, I beg
Sorry, Mr. Just before you go. That was very clearly a misunderstanding, and I am very happy that the matter was resolved. And it would have been nice if you had started out saying that it was resolved in the first place. But we will deal with it and move on. Let's move on. Next question.
I beg to accept this director's report so that we can move on.
Anybody seconding that? Okay.
Yes, there was a motion.
There was a motion?
No. Indeed, long time.
Can you?
There was a motion already.
Okay, can we take those questions?
Yes, sir. Good day. My name is Leslie Woodhouse. I have a problem. If you borrow 100,000,
yes,
and when you go for that money, you're getting 98,000, and they said, what's the problem? They said there's a processing fee of $2,000. That is robbery now.
Is it?
Yes, man. A robbery.
Why?
Can you borrow 2? You already take your 4 already, or your 6, and then you take more again? That is robbery.
Okay. The truth, sir, is that there is a finder's fee and there's a service charge on every loan granted. It has always been, and again, at the risk of saying for 68-year-old, it happens in every institution that you borrow from. It's a standard requirement.
Sir, when you put A squared and squared, we never have that problem.
Yes, sir.
What I
We paid it.
Yes,
sir. Yes, sir. We paid it when we were A squared and squared. Next question.
I just want to share up something. I remember that day under the service charge, I asked the Portmore branch. They told me it was only when you do a service there. So I wouldn't be paying that money unless I'm doing a service. I remember asking that question. Now I'm surprised to know that every month $81 coming from my shares. The next thing, I have an account at NCD. I am not that age. I don't pay a service charge there. Scotia gave you an option. Scotia charge you $190 per month for doing any transaction you want, or you pay $60 to do whatever transaction. I opt for the $60 to take my money one time for the month, so I only pay that $60. I think EduCom need to come with something similar to give you option whether or not you're using the sub-service, so you can get that offer.
Okay, we will look further in that concern.
No, but this need to look into early because
it will be looked in early.
it's really, I only get $300 for my interest and you're going to take $900 for service charge?
We take the point and we will look into it and we'll get back to the members. Thank you very much. Next question.
I'm Pauline Mullins. I really do not have a question. I just want to say that I have been a member of the A squared M squared credit union since 1986, 87, somewhere in there. And I have really never had any challenges, any problems. I think with the merger of anything, we are going to have these kind of challenges and so on. I think at this point, what we need to do is that the board needs to apologize for going into our money, taking out without informing us, and let us move on. I think this is what we need. I don't think to pull out the money and all of that. That's not where we're at right now. Apologize for what you did, and let us move on with the meeting.
No. Look, without question, the board take responsibility for what was done. I'm not so sure that apologizing is meaning that I am saying to you that there will be no service charge. I'm not saying that I'm going to be making that commitment, because the fact is that
Can I just clarify, Mr. President? Mr. President, could you allow me to clarify what
Yes,
I
I'm
just
listening to
said?
you, I'm listening.
I'm not suggesting that we remove the fee. I'm not there yet.
Okay.
Where I am at, I am saying we need to move on. And what you people have done is not right. So whether the board or the manager or whoever, somebody needs to apologize and let us move on and then we take it from there. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, so I, without hesitation, apologize for levying the service charge on the members without communicating it to them. And I will now ask for a motion for the acceptance of the director's report. Can I have a motion? Moved by Lennox Dean, seconded by Michael Bryson. Oh, sorry, Michael who? Michael Gentles, seconded by Michael Gentles. Thank you very much. May I now invite the treasurer to give the treasurer's report.
Good afternoon, everyone. For those who remember me from A Squared, I was the one who would be on the floor asking all the kinds of questions that the lady over there was asking. I am now on the board. This is my first report as treasurer to EduCom. So you will understand that the kind of inciting questions that I answered from the board, when on the floor, that I have now participated in making sure that your accounts and your financial position has been soundly and properly looked at. It's not strange that EduCom was formed on the 1st of April. That is also my birthday. And there is no foolishness here. My first exercise is to invite our auditor from BDO, Ken Wilson, to come forward and present their findings in terms of the independent opinion on our financial affairs. I should point out that, as was previously said by Leo, our president, that we are comparing the financial statements of EduCom with the financial position of A Squared M Squared for the year 2014 and 2013, as you will see as comparatives in the financial statements. And that is because A Squared M Squared was deemed to be the acquirer of the Unified Credit Union. So bear that in mind when the auditor is going through the financial statements. Can I now invite Ken Wilson to come forward?
Members of the board and special guests, invited guests, members of EduCom Credit Union, good afternoon. Our report is on page 59 and page 60. Independent Auditor's Report to the Registrar of Cooperatives and Friendly Societies, EduCom Cooperative Credit Union Limited. We have audited the financial statements of EduCom Cooperative Credit Union Limited, set out on pages 61 to 129, which comprise the statement of financial position as at 31st December 2015, and the statement of comprehensive income, changes in equity, and cash flows for the year then ended, and a summary of significant accounting policies and other explanatory notes. Management is responsible for the preparation and fair presentation of these financial statements in accordance with International Financial Reporting Standards and the Cooperative Societies Act. and for such internal control as management determined is necessary to enable the preparation of the financial statements that are free from material misstatement, whether due to fraud or error. Our responsibility is to express an opinion on these financial statements based on our audit. We conducted our audit in accordance with international standards on auditing. Those standards require that we comply with ethical requirements and plan and perform the audit to obtain reasonable assurance about whether the financial statements are free from material misstatement. An audit involves performing procedures to obtain audit evidence about the amounts and disclosures in the financial statements. The procedures selected depend on the auditor's judgment, including the assessment of the risk of material misstatement of the financial statements, whether due to fraud or error. In making those risk assessments, the auditors consider internal controls relevant to the credit union's preparation and fair presentation of the financial statements in order to design audit procedures that are appropriate in the circumstances, but not for the purpose of expressing an opinion on the effectiveness of the credit union's internal controls. An audit also includes evaluating the appropriateness of accounting policies used and the reasonableness of accounting estimates made by management, as well as evaluating the overall presentation of the financial statements. We believe that the audit evidence we have obtained is sufficient and appropriate to provide a basis for our audit opinion. In our opinion, the financial statements give a true and fair view of the credit union's financial position as at 31st December 2015 and of its financial performance, changes in equity, and its cash flows for the year then ended, in accordance with international financial reporting standards and comply with the provisions of the Cooperative Societies Act. The financial statements of AAMM Cooperative Credit Union Limited for the year ended 31st December 2014 were audited by another auditor who expressed an unqualified opinion with an emphasis on matters on these statements on the 24th April 2015. We have obtained all the information and explanation which, to the best of our knowledge and belief, were necessary for the purpose of our audit. In our opinion, proper accounting records have been kept, and the financial statements which are in agreement therewith give the information required by the Act in the manner so required. Signed video, Chartered Accountants, 14 April 2016. Mr. Chairman, our report.
The auditors have expressed a clean opinion on our financial affairs for the year ended December 2015. The Treasurer's report, which can be taken as read, is seen from page 25 to 20. The third, page 30. You will see the Treasurer's highlights in the Treasurer's report there, and I will comment on them shortly. We move a motion now for the adoption of the auditor's report. Moved by Elaine Russell King, seconded by Patrice Reed Walk. Mrs. Patricia Reed Walk. I'm also now moving a motion for the Treasurer's report to be taken as read. So moved by Sonia Young, seconded by Debbie Mead. Debbie Mead. Okay, the highlights of the overview. Despite the challenges, the credit union has had a very successful year. And as has been mentioned, the A squared M squared was deemed to be the acquirer under IFRS rules. And therefore, you would notice from the financial information there has been a certain level of what we would call inorganic growth. That is growth as a result of the merger and not growth as a result of operating results. Therefore, you would see that the total assets would have increased, the income levels would have increased because of the combination of the two credit unions to become one. In looking at the financial statements, you'll notice that the results indicate, for example, net income for 2015 of 2.3 million compared to 10.4 million for 2014. However, there were merger expenses of approximately 58 million in 2015. Therefore, if those merger expenses were not there, you would be looking at real income of approximately $62 million for 2015. Similarly, the numbers for 2013 were restated because there were some provisioning problems in 2013 and 2014 that had to be accommodated on a restated basis, so that the profit for 2014 was actually reduced because of the provisioning that was necessary. Now I should point out that we were using a system called Immortel in A squared M squared, and we ported to a new system that UWI was using, Clarity, in 2015. Now what we discovered was that the Immortel system was not correctly doing the provisioning based on the rules, and therefore there was certain amount of provisioning that would have been necessary that only came to light after the A squared M squared portfolio was brought over to Clarity. So this resulted in an immediate increase in the loan loss provisioning, hence the reduction on a restated basis of the profit position for 2014. Resulting from that also was that the provisioning jumped from the 1% that you saw earlier up to 7-point-something%. Now that was the real cause of the situation. Now management therefore had to tackle this problem, and I could tell you that in 2016, the first 2 months of 2016, the provision has gone back down to 5-point-something%. And hopefully we'll get it as close to 5% as which is we expect to be the norm for this kind of industry. Now, as far as our operating performance is concerned, increase in gross total income went up by 58%. 52%. Now, this, of course, was the result of the combination of the two entities. We are comparing the income of the two entities to the one level of income with A squared M squared. So there would have been an automatic inorganic growth as a result of that. Similarly, you'll notice that we paid interest to members on the voluntary shares and deposits of $110 million in 2015. Now, to answer some of the questions that have arisen in respect of the payment of dividend, etc. to members. I need to point out that the nature or the structure of your credit union changed when you ported to the system of having a share capital, which is now called permanent shares. Therefore, you no longer have a situation where members' deposits, which traditionally was called shares, member shares, as the capital. The capital now is only the permanent shares. Members' deposits, whether voluntary deposits or special deposits or any other kind of deposits that you have, is now, as far as the credit union operation is concerned, is deemed to be loan to the credit union in a sense. Just like a bank. You put deposits on the bank, therefore those funds are what the bank used to lend to other people. Similarly, the deposits, as well as the voluntary shares deposits, are now on lend to other members. Therefore, the whole structure of that has changed. If you look on the financial statements at page 61, you will see it is now deemed as interest expense. That is the cost of funds that you are incur to on-lend funds to other members. So you are now paid an interest on your members' deposits and members' voluntary shares. Yes? They are no longer, technically speaking, they are no longer shares. The only shares you have in the credit union in a real sense are your permanent shares. They were never compulsory. That is what you put. No, that is in terms of when you borrow funds, you are encouraged to increase your savings. No, if you want to become a member of the credit union, you have to have permanent share. That is the compulsory permanent share. No. 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 No, you're not purchasing shares every month. You have only voluntary. The only shares you have with the credit union is your permanent share. All other funds that you have are deposits, and some are still called shares, but they're not really shares in the traditional sense, because the whole accounting structure of the credit union has changed. The only permanent shares, the only shares that you have, or share capital, is the permanent share. You're a shareholder, but you're only a shareholder in respect of your permanent shares. Full stop. Every member, every person who joins the credit union has to have a contribution to share capital of the credit union of permanent share in the form of a permanent share. That permanent share has one permanent share. That permanent share has a value. What is it now? $2,000. Yes. Yes, everything else you have, right, is deposits, basically. Everything else you have in the credit is deposit. The only share you have is the one permanent share that you have as a member. All members, now there are 26,000 members, approximately 26,000 members of the EduCom Credit Union. And of those 26,000 members, each one has one permanent share, which has a value of $2,000. And that is the share cap. Hello? No, what you have as shares and deposits is what is used as collateral for the loans that you take. That is what is called shares in the credit union, technically it should not be called shares based on the new dispensation of how the accounts are organized. It should not be called shares. But that is what has traditionally been called ordinary shares. They are not ordinary shares. The only share you have is a permanent share.
One day it is shares and one day somebody decides it's no longer shares. How is this possible? I mean, if you're going to make changes to it, then there must be some kind of... I don't understand it. If I'm buying shares into the credit union on a monthly basis and on a compulsory basis, I get up tomorrow and I hear that these are no longer shares.
I'm trying to explain to you the distinction between how the accounts are treated, right? How, or the structure of the credit union's financial statements, how it is treated. You have a share capital, which is permanent shares, full stop, that's it.
On the point of order, Mr. President, could you allow the member to finish his report, the treasurer to finish his report, and you take questions after, please?
Okay, thank you. The other highlight that I want to point out is members' savings. If you look at page 29, members' savings increased to 4.17 billion. But this is just inorganic increase because of the merger. That is one of the areas that we have to look at in terms of the new bond that the credit union is now part of to grow our savings. Savings versus loans. You notice that if you look at the graph, members' savings of 4.169 billion in 2015, up from 2.2 billion in 2014, which is really a comparison between where A squared, M squared was at 2014. Members' loans is just 4.2 billion in 2015, which exceeds members' savings. So, looking at the performance of the credit union to date, in terms of what has been achieved, we would say that we are on a sound footing in terms of our asset base, which has grown significantly because of the merger by approximately $2.5 billion. Members' savings is still an area that requires significant growth, because I could tell you from where I sit that there is absolute very high pressure of members for loans. We can lend more and more because there is the demand for loans by members. However, in order to achieve that level of being able to lend in terms of not being able to have a problem with our liquidity, we will have to increase our savings by members, significantly increase our savings by members, so that the credit union can grow from strength to strength. There are some other issues that you might have mentioned in terms of the question of dividend. You will notice that in terms, you were saying that there was no dividend paid out to members over the past year, 2 years or whatever. There was no dividend paid, but let me put it to you this way. You will notice that for the former A squared, M squared members, their permanent share value was increased to $2,000, which required a transfer of approximately $24 million from the reserve. So when we talk about increasing member value, their value have gone up. In addition to that, based on the financial position of the credit union, there is a level of undistributed reserve in the financial statements that we are in a position now to transfer another $30 million to members' permanent shares. That means that right now the value of a permanent share is what, $2,000? Is it? That means another $1 point something thousand dollars will be added to each member share value and bring it from $2,000 to $3,000 and some change. Now that is the increase in members' value. So that even if you thought you didn't get a dividend, you have really got it in the form of what can traditionally would be called in normal financial service as a bonus share. It's really a bonus distribution in the traditional sense of accounting that you would be getting. So your value is going up. And if you want to look, and if you want to assess where your credit union is in terms of what you own in the credit union, you can basically look at the total value of the assets and divide it by the number of shares that you have, permanent shares you have, and that will give you what might be considered to be a ballpark figure of what your permanent share is valued at. And it certainly will be in excess of $50,000. Okay? I thank the members of the management team and other colleagues on the board for the support that has been given to me as treasurer during this period, and I know that it will continue. And I'm sure that during the next year, when you return here with the next annual general meeting, that we would have some significant better results to show. To date, we are at 40 million plus in terms of revenue of net income for the first 3 months of this year, 2016. Now, if we continue at this rate, we will certainly have achieved a significant amount of positive results, and therefore would be in a better position to declare a significant dividend on your permanent shares at the end of for the period ending December 2016. Now, I could tell you that, okay, if your permanent share is only $3,000, and we say we're going to declare a dividend of 10%, 10% on $3,000 is no money, right? But clearly the distribution would have to be based on the amount of funds that are available for distribution. And therefore, it might be not in the 0 to 100% range, but it might be 300 or 400 or 500% based on the quantity of funds that are available, because your permanent share value is not a very significant value. So that is what we have to look forward to. So if you don't get it in terms of your interest on your deposits, you will get it back in terms of the dividend or bonus on your shares. One other factor in terms of the interest rates that had been paid. One member said they only got 1%. But I could tell you that the interest rates of this credit union has been of the highest in the financial sector. And that includes all banks, etc. You have Golden Harvest and other instruments of the credit union was earning 7.5% during the course of the year. And they are now at 5.5, 5.5. But you must bear in mind that the interest rates that we pay have to accord with the competition that we face. The credit union faces significant competition from banks and loan shark institutions. The banks are now giving interest-free loans, and they're now consolidating debts of members and giving them one figure and giving them a rate. So that is what we as a credit union have to face. So our competitive rates must be in the range that will allow members to feel that at least they are getting a good deal. So that you also have to bear that in mind. So we can't pay 10% on your deposits
and then have to unlend that money to other members. Because if we pay you 10% on deposits and have to, which is part of the interest cost of the lending part of the portfolio, then we would have to be now charging 26 and 30% interest on loans. And that cannot obtain because we have a competitive environment to deal with. So you have to bear that in mind. Therefore, the interest rates that we pay accords with what obtains in the industry. But in the end, we hope that by increasing our return that you will get back the results in terms of your permanent share dividend. I thank you. We will now take any questions from the floor on the financial information.
I'm still Patricia Reedwall. Mr. Treasurer, first of all, I'd like to congratulate you and your team for the financial report and also the auditors too. I think it's a very excellent report. I went through it with a fine-tooth comb and my calculator and my computer and everything else, and I could not find anything to the figures were very well laid out. The restatements were explained, very clearly, and I really think that it was an excellent set of financial statements. There's one thing I want to ask you though, in the Treasurer's report. Now, as far as I can recall, and of course, because of my age, I'm not recalling very well, but as far as I can recall, we used to get some information on the PERLS ratios formally in the annual report, and I don't see them. Well, if they're there, you could direct me to them.
This slide. The main point you're making is a relevant point. It should have been in the.
Yes, because that's a very important schedule, because it gives us an idea as to how we are measuring up with the standards, and certainly in respect of the delinquency, we know that has fallen flat. But I also wanted to know if there was any other area that we have not met the standard, the PERL standard.
The only other area that we were hovering on the standard would have been the assets one, because remember, based on the merger, the assets were revalued to market value. So immediately the valuation would have caused a little problem in terms of what was there before.
We can't see.
Ratio.
We can't see the slide there.
Okay. Background now.
The background. If you change the background to white,
it should have been in the report. I actually thought it was in the report. I thought I'd seen it.
Okay. May I make a suggestion then? Since you have our email addresses, is it possible for you to email us that schedule?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Blenman. Lloyd Wint again. Just a couple of points. I am going through the report at a fine-tooth comb, so I can't comment as much as my colleague a while ago, but it seems to be a very well put together report. But I have a couple of points.
We got the fine-tooth comb.
She made a reference to fine-tooth.
I
dealt with that yesterday. So I part the fine-tooth comb for now. All right. Just to clarify the point, though, because my colleague here was raising the question of the permanent shares versus deposits, etc., etc. And I want to know whether going forward, you will be making a change in the presentation, because I think you kept on emphasizing that you really only have permanent shares, and the other monies you have in the credit union would be your deposits.
Yes.
And I understand what you're saying, but in your report, you do have classifications of members' deposits,
Yeah.
members' voluntary shares, which I think you're now classifying broadly as deposits as well, right? And that's on page 61. On page 119, the members' permanent shares is shown in that schedule, note 21.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so just for our members to understand how it's presented and where they can see the numbers. But I just want to ask whether going forward you're going to be dropping the members' voluntary shares line or category and treating everything as members' deposits, and then the rest would be your permanent shares. Just a clarification.
Well, that's an issue that we would have to discuss at the board level or the league level. I think it obtains in all credit unions right now.
Yeah, I find it personally doesn't pose a problem for me, but I just wondered based on the kind of clarification you were giving earlier.
On it.
My other question has to do with the, and I know that there has been a merger of the two credit unions, but when I look at operating expenses, and I think some of it you explained earlier though, but it has jumped by 182 million from 287 million to 469 million. In addition to the merger costs of 58 point something and 17 point something,
right.
What else would have accounted for the significant jump in costs? I guess maybe staff costs, but maybe you could try and explain that significant
jump. The other
jump.
issue would have been the salaries and wages. The salaries and wages were moved to the level that accords with the industry that we're in, the credit union, and par with the credit union, with other credit unions. So there was an increase in the salaries package to the staff.
Oh, okay.
So that would have been the main area of increase.
Yeah, and thank you for that question. The other thing we have to note is that we would have brought the two organizations, so it's now not just 50 staff, but 100. So in addition to carrying the salaries comparable to the market, it would have been twice the amount of staff.
But we only had 8 redundancies in the whole exercise.
Okay, so the vast majority of persons were absorbing the wider organization. Okay. A couple of points I want to make further. One, in relation to this matter of the monthly admin fee. Because one could argue that, strictly speaking and technically, the admin fee that you're charging should be captured in the spread that you make between your loan rates and the amount you pay, your interest costs, right? And if you're paying, well, I hear 1%, I don't know what I'm paid, to be honest with you at this point. But if you're looking at a 1% or 2% payment on deposits, and you're looking at rates in the order of upwards of 20%, and I don't know what the weighted average would be. But I'm saying, it seemed to me, it suggests that you have a significant amount of spread there, which will enable you to cover your admin fee, all your operating expenses, including driving a fair amount to the bottom line, so that this monthly fee that you're charging on people's savings accounts ought not to be necessary. It also poses a problem you'll have seen here already, psychological. People say, why you charge me $81 per month on my savings account when you're paying me only 1%, 1.5%, etc. So it perhaps would be better if you look...
This question would not have arisen, you know.
Pardon?
I said this question would not have arisen had we not had the merger expenses.
Oh,
so the merger expenses were not there. We'd be looking at $60 million of surplus. And then that surplus, the amount will then be voted by members of how much we would distribute to them each permanent share.
Or you could eliminate the monthly admin fee.
Well, it's either one or the other. Well,
think about how you deal with it psychologically, from how your members react to these kind of fees. Huh?
We
Okay?
accept that. We accept that.
And the other point I want to reinforce is the matter of the permanent shares. Because if you have 2,000 or even 3,000, 3,500 permanent shares in the permanent shares in the union, the credit union, yes, and you pay even upwards of 10% or 15 or 20%, is not a significant amount
No,
of
that's the point
returns.
I made. I said we
no,
want-
I heard the point you made. Yeah, fine, I'm agreeing with you. So I want to go back to the point I made earlier, that perhaps what the union or the credit union ought to do is give members the option to increase their permanent shares. Huh? It's something that I think you ought to consider. Okay?
Yeah, right, because we could look at that, but then
All right.
there's also a danger to that too, because you have members who have deep pockets.
No, you can
But
still
then-
you can cap it still.
Well,
you
we
know.
can cap it at a
You
level.
can still cap it at a level.
10%, no more than 10%.
Yeah, right.
or
You can
something
cap
like
it,
that.
but at least give people members the options to increase their permanent shares.
But we've already,
All right.
sorry, we've already started to increase by giving them, well, technically speaking, a bonus distribution.
No, I hear that, but that from what you said is not going to uplift it to more than about 3,000 or 3,000 plus.
All right.
Okay?
Thank
All right,
you.
thank you.
That's it?
Mr. President and Mr. Treasurer, could you, page 29, Ray Howell, we are almost at an equilibrium in terms of loans and savings, which may have actually breached the PERS ratio. What are the implications going forward? Not breach, but what are the implications going forward? And secondly, I'm trying to understand page 88, where you have past due but not impaired from 32 to 43 million. Assume that you may have collaterals to back that. But if you look at the last section, moving from age analysis of past due but not impaired loans, from 12 to 61 million, and the 6 to 12 months from 15 to 20 million dollars, or total 32 to 82.247. But I noticed at the 12-month period, you went down to 237,000. Could you explain that table? Entire page, I want some explanation.
Age analysis from
I understand my assumption, I may be wrong, that you move 32 to 43.
Well, this
It
would
may
be-
be because you have collaterals to back it, but down the bottom we see a trend. But all of a sudden it changed at the 12 months and over. It looks very unusual.
Yeah, but that was because of the computer system that we have.
So you are saying that because the system changed?
No. What happens is that this is the reflection of those loans that are now in excess of 12 months. What a lot of work would have to go in to the getting members to pay. So you're not going to find a lot of loans going over 12 months because of the work that is being done. So you're gonna find delinquents in the 3 to 6, in the 6 to 12, but you're not gonna find a lot. In fact, if all of them goes beyond 12 months, we are in big problem. So
Just to say that I'm seeing that is looking very unusual.
No, it is correct. It is, yeah, it's correct.
Thank you. Can I have a motion for adoption of the Treasurer's report? Seconded. Name. Vivian Hardin. Seconded by Vivian Hardin. All in favor?
Thank you very much, Mr. Blenman. You know, fellow cooperators, I think we need to have just a little bit of an education about the distinction between shares and deposits, because this has been a major change in the movement, and I'm not so sure how much of us have still wrapped our minds around it, because this is also one of the things that makes a distinction between interest payment and dividend payment. And I think we need to find some way of educating our members about this distinction. But thank you very much, Mr. Treasurer. May I now invite the chairperson of the credit committee, Ms. Jennifer Hall, to make her report.
Good afternoon to you all. The Credit Committee report has been circulated. May I have a motion for the report to be taken as read? Janet Lewis, moved, seconded by Claudette James. Thank you. I am very pleased to present the report of the Credit Committee for 2015. The year was eventful and demanding, but the Credit Committee was equal to the task and worked assiduously in addressing the varied loan requirements of our members. Some of the year's highlights were a reduction in interest rate, which made the repayment terms on loans more attractive to members, introduction of 2 new loan products, one for motor vehicle insurance premium financing, and the other for special debt consolidation. Steady growth in a strong and solid loan portfolio, which is roughly about 84% of which constitute fully safe and secure loans, which amply demonstrate the safety and soundness of our credit union and the faith and confidence of our members in the organization. I will now pause for questions. The report is very short. Are there any questions or comments so far? Could I have your name, please? Right. Okay, are there any questions or comments or any other questions? No, who doesn't come? Oh, may I therefore, on behalf of the Credit Committee, graciously take this opportunity to place on record our appreciation to members of the Credit Committee of the former A Square, M Square, and the UWI Corp Credit Union for their years of sterling service to the Credit Committee. We also express our sincere thanks and appreciation to the Board of Directors, members of the Supervisory Committee, management, and staff for their unstinted support. Now, may I have a motion for the adoption of my report? Petanja Timol, seconded by, sorry, Austin. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Jennifer. The observation about the break, indeed we understand that we all need a break. The fact though is that we just have a few things left to do, and if you just allow us some patience, we will just go over and just get over the meeting and finish. May I now invite the Supervisory Committee Chair to give his report. I really would not want to break the meeting now and for us to come back for half an hour after, so I think it makes much more sense to finish the meeting. Thanks for your patience and understanding.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I take this opportunity to present our report, but before I do so, the report has been circulated, so may I have a motion for it to be accepted as read. A motion? Right, moved by Lennox Dean, seconded by Lorna Matthews. Thank you. The Supervisory Committee basically oversees the internal audit function of the credit union and the credit union's policies and procedures, statutory and other regulatory requirements. The internal audit unit conducts scheduled and ad hoc reviews of the internal control system and reports on its findings to the committee. In addition to the audits done, the internal audit unit, the committee also conducts reviews of aspects of the credit union's operations, usually on a surprise basis, and also carries out follow-up reviews of the implementation status of previous recommendations. Throughout the year, you would have seen the areas under which the Supervisory Committee, in addition with the assistance of the auditor, would have reviewed, namely the management of delinquent accounts, going through to investigating members' concerns. Okay, so those were the main areas of activities that were reviewed between the credit committee and the supervisor committee, members of the supervisory committee and internal audit unit. Our main concern, as highlighted here, was the level of delinquent loans, and members of the supervisory committee have met on various occasions with management, and we are comfortable based on what has been reported and what we have observed that the matter has been handled seriously and it is effectively managed by the management team. As a committee, we express sincere thanks and appreciation to members of the management team and also the board of directors for their support throughout the year as we carry out our various activities. I especially want to say thanks to the members of my team as listed here, and especially as a team, we express sincere gratitude for our member, Mr. Roel Nelson, who will be moving on to higher calling. Indeed, he gave sterling contribution to the committee throughout the period. This, in a nutshell, represents our report. I take the opportunity to open the floor for any questions. There be none, can I get a motion for the adoption of the report? Millicent Lehman Barrett. Seconded. Yes? Howard Brown. Seconded by Howard Brown. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
One page. Fellow cooperators, the delegates report is in your booklet, and the delegates report is the report from those members of this credit union who have been nominated to represent the credit union at the Jamaica Cooperative Credit Union League. This is a summary of the report, the delegate's report. And no, there's no summary. It is founded on, it's on page 39 to 41 of this booklet. And as we do every year, I would ask that you review that in your own time, but because the report was presented for general information, and I would like to ask that we have a motion that it's been taken as, having been circulated, it is taken as read, followed by a motion for its acceptance. Okay. Debbie me? Seconded by? What's your name again, ma'am? Maria Morrison. Okay. So that is a motion for it to be taken as read, and I now need a motion for its acceptance. Yes, if I can have it. From Grace Walker, and seconded by? Anybody? Marcia Steele. Sweeney, Marcia Sweeney. All in favor? Aye. Any against? Thank you very much. We then move on to the report. You have a question, sir?
Yes, Mr. President.
I'm sorry.
I think I was improper to nominate my powerful society to say something to you just now.
Okay.
Regarding the sharing of the lunch.
Okay.
There are persons who would like to leave, and they are saying that instructions are coming from here that they have to wait until the meeting is over. Is that so? Or is there any instruction like that given? Persons come from country who would like to leave, have lunch and leave, and they want to leave just now. And
okay,
argument is that just thought out from it. It is not nice.
We are just about to wrap up the meeting. It probably will take us another about perhaps half an hour at the most.
Half an hour?
No, 15, 20 minutes. And I'm just asking them to wait for a while. 15 minutes at the most. 15 minutes.
I hope you want to be the person traveling distance.
All right. Let me invite the chairman of the nominations committee to give his report. Dr. Nicely.
Good afternoon, colleagues. The nominations report is located on it commences on page 37 and concludes on page 38. There is an accompanying document, a single sheet with print on the back and the front that accompanies the document. It has the purpose of facilitating some correction or amendment, as well as providing additional information by way of specific details. The committee comments. First of all, can I have a motion for the report to be taken as read? Name, please. Laverne Johnson. And second, Jennifer Hall. Yes. All in favor? Ayes have it. The committee commenced its meetings on August 31st, and the composition initially had Mr. Kenneth Grant involved. However, on November 11th, at that meeting, we made an amendment because the rules indicate that only one serving director can be on that committee. And so in light of that amendment, Mr. Walton Reed was included, and Mr. Grant was retained to provide technical assistance to the committee. The committee has the responsibility to do the nominations for the board of management, the credit and supervisory committees. We had 10 meetings and 2 interview sessions, and in all instances, the entire committee members were present. In terms of the board of directors, as printed in your report, there is to be an amendment, and where you have Valerie Hall Buckle, that should be marked nicely. And so there are 2 directors who are being retired at this time. And further down on your report, you have the individuals who will be replacing those to be retired. In the first instance, it's Ms. Colleen Lewis, attorney at law, and Mr. Nelson, who is Earl Nelson, who is coming from the supervisory committee to take up a position on the board of directors. In terms of this sheet of paper, I spoke to the correction aspect already. In terms of it providing additional information, you will see where, in terms of the Board of Management, there is a schedule for how long board members, board directors will serve. And it's broken down into tenures of 1 year, 2 years, and 3 years. That this paper provides that detail. When we get to the credit committee, essentially the nominations committee took the decision to have all persons retained on this committee. However, the document that you have will again speak to the details of their tenure, and some individuals will have 1 year and others will have 2 years. In terms of the supervisory committee, you have already been told that Mr. Royal Nelson is being replaced, and he is being replaced by Ms. Daly, and the full composition is listed there. And if you are looking for a schedule, there need not be any schedule, because this committee's tenure is 1 year in all instances. And that would conclude the critical details of the nominations committee report. And at this point in time, I open for any questions that may be. Okay, we want to invite, for those of you who do not know, Mr. Michael Webb to come from the registrar. But just before that, as he's coming, I should say, would like Mr. Nelson to stand and to be acknowledged. And simultaneously, I want to apologize to Ms. Lewis, who is unavoidably absent. And I'd ask Ms. Daly to also stand and be acknowledged. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman and Nominating Committee. Members, Board of Directors, volunteer staff, special invited guests across the movement, a pleasant good afternoon. Well, that sounds hungry, a special good afternoon. All right, I'm Michael Webb, I'm the sober Michael. I'm from the Department of Properties and Credit Society. And it's the regulatory body for credit unions. All right, the nominating committee report has been read by the chairman of the nominating committee. And before I proceed with the nomination, I just want to inform the membership that the rule amendment that was done for EduCom credit union rules, the constitution that governs its operations, that it facilitates nomination prior to this meeting. So therefore, the nominating committee has met and has received from the general membership nominations. Those nominations were assessed, persons were viewed to be fit and proper, and the skill set was met, the skill set requirement was met in accordance for you to have a balanced board and statutory committees. So the board, your board of directors to serve on EduCom, Kenrick Jackson, Kenneth Grant, Raymond Eitel, and these 3 directors will be serving for 1 year respectively. They will also join Donovan Brown, Hilton Blenman, and Valerie Hall Buckle for 2 years.
And they will join Miss Sonia Bennett Cunningham, Clyde Nesbitt, Ruel Nelson, Hector Stevenson, and Colleen Lewis for 3 years. Can I have an acclamation from the membership for consent of these persons to be duly elected to serve on the board of directors for EduCom? All right, as I call names, kindly stand for recognition, please. Kenry Jackson, Kenneth Grant, Raymond Eater, just check if you're listening, Donovan Brown, Hilton Blenman, Valerie Hall Buckle, Sonia Bennett Cunningham, Clyde Leopold Nesbitt, Ruel Nelson, Hector Stevenson, and Colleen Lewis. She's not here. She's here. Colleen, please stand for me. That's the lady. You can join the podium. Join us at the podium. So these are the persons that will serve on the board of directors for EduCom. I'm going to ask the membership for their consent or acclamation to approve. Would you like me to conclude this process before you ask the president?
I just want some clarification.
Okay, go ahead.
Lennox Dean. The presentation by Mr. Nicely and by yourself, Mr. Webb, suggests that we don't really have an election. It sounds as if there's a fait accompli. Just the way it is presented.
Okay,
are these nominations or are they elections to be sanctioned by the membership? The presentation does not suggest that there's
yes,
an
these
election.
are the persons that are nominated and to be elected from the members' approval. So it's to be confirmed at this meeting. The rule amendment, EduCom Cooperative Credit Union, this cooperative was registered April 1st, and it was registered with a new set of rules. Right, the rule speaks to that 75 days before the general membership, before the annual general meeting, a petition will be sent informing, advertising vacancies to be served on the board. The board statutory committees are the credit and the supervisory. Those names were received by the nominating committee, chaired by Mr. Nicely. He assessed those nominations, right? Look on the skill set that was needed for the board, the supervisor, and the credit. And a selection process was done, and these 9 persons were selected by the nominating committee. 11 persons selected by the nominating committee and are now brought to you today for your approval.
Could I just ask a question about that? Marvel Masters Stupart, formerly from UA Credit Union, now it's EduCom. Is there any provisions made to have gender parity on this board through the selections? And also soft skills, is that considered? Because I'm quite concerned about the president's pronouncements today. A little bit of soft skill definitely needed.
Your point is well taken, well made and well taken. We have considered gender. Part of the process of the nomination process is that we advertise in the newspaper inviting people to nominate potential directors for the board. They came out, and what we have working with are those persons who were nominated by the membership of EduCom after that process. The only thing that has changed in our process is the fact that no nomination is allowed from the floor, but it is advertised openly for members of EduCom to nominate persons, and that is the team that we have worked from, and from the nominations committee have selected the persons who are presented here today.
Can I just suggest that some due considerations or reconsideration be given to that? I would love to have had my email used to send that information to me. As well as no, I'm sorry, sir, that was not done. And as well as it could have been sent by text to us, because I do see a number of text messages from EduCom.
Okay, we will do that in the future. Thank you. All right. Any? Okay, Mr. Webb, you want to finish up?
So the 11 directors that are placed before you will have a general acclamation for the membership. All in favor? Any against? The ayes have it. We proceed to the credit committee. Alicia Jones for 1 year, Delores Mollison for 1 year, Sandra Smith Dockery, Clayton McEwen, Jennifer Ricketts Hall for 2 years. These persons have been recommended by the nominating committee to be put before the membership today. I'm going to ask for a general acclamation for approval of these 5 members to serve on the credit committee. All in favor? All right, I'm going to ask Miss Alicia Alcia Jones to stand. Alcia Jones. I'm going to ask Miss Mollison to stand. Is she here? Sandra Smith Dockery, please stand. Clayton. And Jennifer Ricketts Hall. So you have senior supervisor, your credit committee members. Can I have a general acclamation to approve the nominating committee report? All in favor? Any against? The ayes have it. We proceed to the supervisory committee. And all members on this committee will serve for 1 year. Glenville Henry, Cheryl Daly, Keisha Bedward, Petanja Timol, and Sandra Lawrence. Miss Henry, please stand. Miss Henry. Oh, sorry about that, Mr. Henry. Sorry about that. I mistaken the lady beside you. Sorry. So the lady beside you is Petanja Timol. And it's Miss, right? Okay. And Sandra Lawrence. Cheryl Daly. And last but not least, Keisha Bedward. All right, these are the persons duly nominated to serve on your supervisory committee. I'm going to ask for a general acclamation from the membership to accept and approve this nominating committee report. All in favor? Aye. Any against? The ayes have it. And that proceeds the nominations committee report. Thank you very much.
Can I invite the newly elected board members to join us at the head table? Okay, colleagues, having elected the board, the next item is to appoint the delegates for the Jamaica Cooperative Credit Union League. Now the process has been that the membership of the credit union and previous credit unions give to the board the authority to do the appointment of the delegates to the league. In that regard, I'm actually asking for your permission for us to continue that practice this time. So if you would agree, the board will, in its meetings, decide who determine who will then represent the credit union at the Jamaica Cooperative Credit Union. Do I have your support? Yes. Thank you. Next item is fixing of maximum liability. And the maximum liability of the credit union is the maximum amount that you, the members of the credit union, is permitting the directors of the credit union to borrow in case there is a significant emergency. No, I don't think many credit unions, if any at all, has ever used this maximum liability in Jamaica, but it is part of the requirement of the standard practice of management a credit union, that we need to come to you, the membership, and ask for this permission for this maximum liability. And you see there on the board, the rule is that the maximum liability is that we are allowed, credit unions are asked to allowed to borrow 16 times the capital of the credit union. Now the capital of the credit union is $664 million. And $664 million. And if we were allowed to borrow that 16 times, I think that would be about, it would be 16 billion, it would be approximately 16 billion. However, we are not asking for that kind of tolerance from you. And on this occasion, we are actually asking you permission. Well, we are asking you to set a maximum liability of $5 billion. Do I have a motion? Yes. Moved by Lennox, seconded by? Seconded by Michael. What's your surname again, Michael? All in favor? Any against? Thank you very much. The apportionment, the next item is the apportionment of a surplus, which is the appropriation of a surplus. And ladies and gentlemen, if you check from the accounts, the surplus this year is $2.37 million. The board has recommended that the full amount be retained in our capital, for it to be used to shore up the capital base of the organization. Because if we have 2.373 million, it's a bit difficult to determine how that will be divided up amongst the membership. However, having said that, remember we have pointed out to you before that one of the objectives that we have is to transfer an amount of $30 million to members' permanent share this year. So the board has recommended that this 2.373 million be transferred to capital. Do I have your approval for that? Can I have a motion? Someone moving a motion? Yes, ma'am? Diana Beswick, and your second, sir? Wilbert Dennis. Berry. Wilbert Berry. Thank you very much. All in favor? Any against? Thank you very much. We are now at the point where we take a resolution. I'm going to ask the secretary to lead us through this resolution. Mr. King. It's at the back of your booklet. The seal of the credit union. Stu? Okay. Okay, I understand that this resolution has been circulated to you. Anybody?
Hello, 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 hello.
The resolution on the seal of the credit union? No?
Hello, hello. And I think that.
Okay. The resolution is before you on the screen, and I'll ask the secretary to take us through this resolutions. Pardon me? You have it?
No, it's not in this book.
It's not in the booklet. Circulated.
Yeah, printed and given to you. No. No? Awesome.
Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize. We will withdraw that resolution, having us not having it circulated to you, and no proper notice having been given for this resolution. We withdraw it. To be withdrawn? No, you don't need a motion. Okay, may I have a motion for the withdrawal of this resolution? So moved by Marvel. Master Stupar. Okay, good. Thanks. Seconded by? And your name, ma'am, is? Maria Wasom. Maria with 2 R's. Okay. All in favor? Any against? Okay, can we take the second resolution?
Thank you, President. This resolution has to do with the transfer from non-institutional to institutional capital, and it is found on page 130 of the annual report. Whereas the credit union seeks to maintain a capital base to ensure that its financial position is sound enough to meet obligations and absorb unexpected shocks. And whereas the credit union, by virtue of its operations, has accumulated reserves which have been allocated to both institutional capital, 664,448,000, and non-institutional capital, 383,215,000, as at December 31st, 2015. And whereas non-institutional capital is not considered to be a part of the capital base in the computation of these prudential ratios, and whereas the Bank of Jamaica will require that its prudential ratios are maintained at specific standards in the credit union to reassure its financial strength, and whereas the credit union's fixed asset to capital ratio is below the required standard as set out by the BOJ, be it resolved that the membership at this meeting gives its approval for the sum of 124 million to be transferred from non-institutional capital to institutional capital to further strengthen the capital base of the credit union. And of course, based on the discussion that you have heard earlier, the sum is now going to be moved to 154 million, 30 million of which will be transferred to the permanent shares of the members. May I then have a motion for this resolution to be accepted? Moved by Lorna, Dawn Beckford, seconded, Dawn with the U, seconded by, over here, Geraldine Watson. Of course, Geraldine, how could I not have recognized you? Thank you so very much. That's it. All in favor? Any against? Ayes have it. Thank you very much.
Fellow corporators, we have come to the second most important item on the agenda, that of any other business. Is there any other business for us to conduct?
Sorry. Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Would I be correct in saying that the new rules referred to by Mr. Webb are on the website?
The new rules of the credit union? Yes,
Okay.
they're on the website.
I'm sure you would implore the members to become familiar with these new rules.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Dean, thank you, Mr. Dean, my friend Lennox. Fellow corporators, quickly, the credit union and the credit union movement has changed and is changing. With the Bank of Jamaica coming on board, there are lots of things that are being enforced that we have to take into our rules. They are now reflected in the rules. One of the things is that because of the fit and proper requirements of nominated board members, we can no longer take nomination from the floor of the meeting. And it is for this reason why the entire nomination process had to be changed. There are a number of significant changes and differences happening to the movement that will be reflected in how we do business as time goes on. They are all listed in the website of EduCom. Please go to the website, read them, and we have those information also available in the office. So do not hesitate to ask for them, and we will provide that information for you. I thank you very much, Mr. Dean. Any other business? Any other business? There be no other business. May I have a motion for the termination of this meeting? And your name again is? And seconded by? Arlene Brown Gregory. All in favor? Any against? Oh, there's an information here about lunch. Dining room, lunch is served at the dining room located at the right of the conference meeting, upstairs and downstairs, in addition to the right of the back exit of the conference room. The right of the back exit of the conference room. Yeah, that's it. And Miss Pauline Bailey, I'd like you to know that the board has received your message and we will be acting on it accordingly. Thank you. Can you give us a second to ask Kenry Jackson, Director Jackson, to move Grace?